And live. Looks like it's just going to be the four of us again tonight, though.
Yeah, who knows?
You know, I'm surprised that there aren't more out there that want to.
I need to get off my butt and do more publishing of it as far as ahead of time and letting people know. I think I could get more, but then there's also I think it's good for us to just kind of get this figured out and work on it and get our own stuff going. But I'd like to get more people involved. But we are limited to 10 live viewers. I don't know that there's a limit to how many people watch. I think that can be
yeah.
A lot higher number can watch. But I think we're just limited to 10 live. So I don't know.
Yeah. Eves, is that the wireless pendant that you have?
Yes.
Have you figured out how to use it with Linux CNC?
Yeah, I was jogging around with it earlier.
You're the man. You're the man.
Yeah, it's actually really easy from what he made it sound like.
Yeah, it detected it. I didn't have to do anything like crazy.
It detected it.
Yeah, see, the DRO is active on it. Right?
Seriously. Wow.
I would jog it, but I don't want to do that right this. Actually, yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Have you figured out the lights and connecting all that?
Lights?
Well, I thought weren't you going to make the lights like if there was a tool change they could blink or pulse or when it was done with the job?
On the rotor. That's on the other project.
Oh, that would be
you're
awesome
all
on this
there. We can't. He's being incognito. We can't see his face. He's all backlit.
Yeah. Are we having those?
Actually, you should see it jogging in the background. Man.
Oh yeah, we can see it.
You know what would be really cool is if you had the addressable LED strip and then it matched, X and Y matched as they moved around. That would be fun.
Oh my God! Okay, Eves,
that would be
you
fun.
have to do that. You have to do that.
Sorry, I didn't hear anything. What was that?
So with self-addressable or serial addressable LEDs.
Yeah.
So you could have them all white except for wherever X and Y is. So as it moves back and forth on X and Y, the lights change. That one light changes wherever X and Y is.
Oh. That would be doable.
There would be a fair amount of programming.
No, not really. Okay, so John. Okay, so
yes.
The HAL thing is not as complex as I thought. So, for example, if I wanted to do an external like touchscreen DRO, that's kind of easy in a sense that I already did the DRO part, but I'm talking to it via serial. As long as I tell HAL what to send out and what the Arduino to understand and receive, I can pull that data and actually make a DRO, like an external. So that's really possible. But so coordinates, I didn't really get that far. So if there's a way to get HAL or some sort of like Python script to read the coordinates real time.
Put a light on your face, Eves. It's eerie. With you all
like
backlit.
Some FBI snoops.
The light in front of me. All the lights are right here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Can't really fix that.
Well, you had it. Yeah. It's just eerie.
Yeah, that
was there. It's the camera is whatever camera you're using is auto adjusting the.
Yeah, I know.
It's for the backlights.
It's the white balance. You should just go in there and make that a static, but whatever.
But yes, what you're talking about is possible. But in the other project, Farm, as I ganked the name from Mr. Andrew.
That was brilliant.
That will have.
Really like. I'm a huge fan of fun little acronyms for things.
But it works. So, because it works in this case because I'm doing a 4-axis and a 5-axis, and I don't have to change the first letter, so that works for me.
Hey.
But yeah, on that guy, I'm gonna do different colors for tool change, pauses, errors, etc.
That'd be pretty
well,
cool.
if you're doing Linux CNC, all that will translate to any any machine you want to run it on.
Yeah, yeah.
So that'll be cool. And
it's not that damn hard. I'm surprised nobody else has done that. I mean, really, it's an Arduino. and then you're just spitting out, hey, blue. Not really. I mean, you could do shortcut commands, or not commands, but queries. But I don't know. I plan on exploring the crap out of that.
Yeah, I think that could be fun. Certainly create a GitHub repository for add-ons to Linux CNC like that, because that would be very cool.
Well, I have one internally. This is what I was going to tell you earlier. I use something called GitLab. We're going to sidestep CNC Worlds for a split second. I use something called GitLab, which is kind of like a Git repository that you can run internally in your network. And that's what I do with all my Arduino projects, all the CNC stuff. So as I make configuration changes, I do a git push to that. And if I hit a point of no return, at least I can look and pull back a different version of it.
Right. You can roll back.
Yeah. So it's running literally. I have a small ESXi server in the house, and it's a little tiny VM. It runs Ubuntu. I think it's a image, an installable image, and I think it had Ubuntu. I'm not 100% sure. But man, all the Linux CNC stuff, all my TinyG stuff, every Arduino thing I've ever written. So if I make changes, it actually tracks all the changes. So in the case of the Linux CNC, if you make changes to your config, at least you'll see a nice graph of the crap you changed. And if you get to a point where it didn't work, you can at least, like I said, snap back to known working configuration.
I could really use that, I'm sure.
I'm going to have to look at that.
But it's called GitLab.
Yeah, I'm on the website now. That is cool.
It's tiny,
So
it's open source.
And you use that as opposed to just sending everything to Git?
GitHub?
Just keep it local?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's faster.
That's cool. Yeah. I use, actually, Andrew and I have a share between us. I use a thing called BitTorrent Sync, BT Sync.
Oh, yeah.
That rocks. I just freaking love that. I have my documents directory on all of my computers the same, and it's all just a BitTorrent sync between everybody.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it works like a champ. I love it. So no matter where I go, I get everything just syncs.
That's cool. Okay, so we need to switch it back to CNC stuff.
Yep.
Computer guys.
I know, we're frustrating Dave. So who wants to maybe Andrew or Eves, you already did some talking, but maybe we'll just get some recorded about your transition from TinyG to
from the land of TinyG and Chili Pepper?
Yeah.
To the land of Linux CNC.
Or any other motion control platform.
Yeah.
Testing 1, 2, am I?
It was okay. I'm not gonna lie. It was kind of painful, and at one point I asked myself, "Why the hell am I doing this?" So, hey, it's not easy. It's not like you could just double-click something and it installs, and all of a sudden it works. There was a lot of trial and error, and it was mostly my fault for buying that crappy breakout board. If I had got the right one from the get-go, that would have alleviated all of that. But the part that was just like
Eves, real quick, which one did you buy, and which one should you have bought?
I got the
buying
C10.
in the back.
The C10 that John suggested, and the one prior to that was the Amazon, and it was called the DDVVM or DDMMV 2.1. I don't have the board directly here.
So get the C10 and don't screw about.
Yes. Go find stuff that's actually 100% supported, or if you can find a manual for it, you're probably good. Because the two I looked at did not have a manual.
So, which one is the one that you sent me, John? This is
that is neither the C10 nor the bad one he had. However, that one I do know works really well with Linux CNC. I mean, I had no issues with that one at all.
Yeah, and the funny thing is like if it doesn't specifically say Mach 3 in the description, apparently you're good.
Even if it does, I mean, a lot of them will say Mach, but it just you got to be careful with the USB port. If it's a USB port only, then you're screwed. But
or if it has more than
yeah. Go ahead. Oh, I was just gonna say, Andrew, that USB port on that one is for power only.
Yeah.
For 5-volt logic.
Yeah. So if it uses, first off, if it has an insane amount of inputs and outputs and it requires the USB port, I mean, you can get the parallel port side working with Linux CNC, but you won't get any of the inputs or the additional outputs to work because it's beyond the pins on the parallel port.
Now, Inventables has a parallel port to USB gizmo. It's like $130. It's no drop in the hat. But it's supposed to work with Mach 3.
Nope.
Well, maybe
Mach
Mach
3.
3, but not Linux CNC for sure.
Okay. Okay.
No.
No.
And it won't work with Mach 3. They don't. There's no known USB to parallel port adapter that works with Mach 3 because of the timing and everything that Mach 3 pulls off of the machine.
Like
Well, I mean,
said,
there are breakout boards that are USB only, and then it seems like Mach 4 is favoring that.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
but they're using a what do they call it? There's another box between the computer and the machine that does the step and direction. There's a word for it, and I can't think of it. I can't think of it.
Well, I mean, Andrew, basically, if it's 5 axes, so X, Y, Z, A, B, parallel, and the USB is inverted, as in it's B to B, which is power only, you're good to go.
Well, this
If it
is
says-
what they're selling. This USB motion controller. It says it's for Mach 3. I'm not planning on getting one, but this is for others that are maybe watching. It's supposed to do 6 axes.
Well, yeah, over 5.
Parallel port compatibility pinout. What resistors on automatic firmware.
I'll bet you there's a pick in there. I bet you that's what they're doing.
Well, yeah, mine had an
Who knows?
ST32. 2 of them, actually, on the board.
There's also a good alternative to parallel ports with Mesa cards.
Yeah.
The
Like I said, I plan
5825.
on getting a more traditional breakout board, so I'm not really worried about using the one that John you sent me as. So I'm not really worried about it
Yep.
long term.
That want to work. You know, that Mesa card is cheaper than this USB card. I'd rather have the Mesa card.
Well, that and Linux will handle up to 3 or 4 Mesa cards plus a couple of parallel ports all at the same time.
Yeah.
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 You know,
Yeah, because
you
I
can go to all 6 or 8 axes if you want to get really stupid about it.
Yeah, Eves.
Yeah.
Let's build like an 8-axis one just to see how crazy we can make the damn thing.
See, the problem is that, yeah, you can go crazy on the axes, but what are you going to use for cam?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm finding
I think
that out
Linux
with
CNC
this.
supports up to 9 axes, but yeah, what cam does that short of a $100,000 cam package?
Yeah,
My
that's the
Pretty
problem.
much.
My Sprute will do up to 5 or 6.
Yeah,
Right.
screw cam.
Axes.
You'd have to-
Yeah,
you'd
Sprute
have to-
Cam will do 5. I know.
What's SolidWorks rated up to?
Probably 5. That'd be my guess.
And 5.
Uh,
Yeah, once you go over
I don't
5,
even-
then it gets really
You're-
crazy.
Yeah, you're talking
Yeah.
custom stuff because people with more than 5 axes are running arms. They're running the CNC on an
Well-
arm basically.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well,
On
apparently
the whole
the auto loaders on like the Haas and that one company that starts with a D, what is it called? Where they basically have a robot that brings the part in. That's considered.
Is that an
They make
axis?
that they consider that an axis?
I don't know. Maybe it's inputs, outputs. I'm not sure. Although, I mean, you could probably Google 10-axis CNC, and I'm sure there's one there.
Yeah. I know Boeing has
right.
machines that do 9.
Yeah. I can't even imagine the cam or something like that. The math involved in doing cam like that, I just can't.
Oh wow! First hit. 11 axis CNC.
Ouch.
What has science done?
That's crazy.
It's by a company called Lico, L-I-C-O. It's an LNTS 11 axis.
A linker, I don't believe you.
I don't know. This guy sounds like he's from Homes of the Rich and Famous.
Robin Leach.
Let's see. 3 compound cross slides, 8 position live tools, servo turret.
Oh wow.
3
Oh, it's a lathe.
/ CNC /
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
it is all the things.
It's in Tony Stark's lab.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
Look at that piston.
Yeah, yeah. Ooh. Can you imagine if you got a call for service on something like that, though?
Oh,
I mean,
Yeah,
or,
but if you have
or
a
even
service
after,
contract.
15 years later when it's out of warranty. I mean, what do you?
oh, the company that sold it to you is gonna rape you so bad for service on that thing that
You couldn't afford to own it at that point.
I gotta.
Look at that tool changer. That is just not even.
It's on a damn spindle. Yeah, it's just just switch to the next thing. That's
Oh,
what
man.
man.
Oh, so it's cutting 2 parts at the same time.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Each spindle's running independent of each other.
What?
That is absolutely unbelievable. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, it does first stop on one spindle, and then transfers it to the other spindle, and does the second op as the first spindle is doing a new first op. So they're doing first and second simultaneously.
Can you imagine setting up cam for something like that?
Oh, yeah, that would
Eventually
be
the software that probably comes with this probably makes it fairly easy.
Yeah, but I mean, you have to simulate before you run it, right? I mean, you've got to go through a lot of simulation just to make sure shit's not going to crash.
Yeah.
That's
Although
crazy.
that machine probably doesn't let you crash.
Yeah, on a $500,000 machine, you probably would want to do that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You better keep going.
Yeah.
That thing is probably stupid.
Yeah.
Stupid.
I think realistically for me, 5 is probably, and the only reason because I wanted to do those candle holder / table legs / staircase thing.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, I think 5 is probably good enough. I just want to get into the rotary stuff. It's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that. That's kind of why I'm glad I raised my machine up too. Is I definitely want to play with that, and it helps if you've got a little height.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's a cool gizmo.
It's Pathpilot.
No, I'm watching some other video for a 10-axis CNC, and it's got two independent sets, and the tool change. So at first it's just drilling, and then it goes and does a tool change, and it just spins around and drills from the other side. I'll send a link. Let's see.
Yeah, how many guys could actually program a mill like that? Not very many.
I don't even know what they're milling. It looks like they're milling wood, but both of the arms have basically there's a spindle on either side, and it just rotates. It's a center post and then a mount, and then it's got a tool on either side. And it just wants to use one tool, it does that, and when it wants to use another tool, it just rotates and uses the other side. And that's an ingenious way to do a tool change. If you have 2 tools, great. You just put them on a thing and just turn the thing upside down. Done.
So,
Well,
Yves,
yes.
I was gonna go ahead. Well, I was just gonna ask you. So, are you gonna show your wife how to run everything now, or is that the plan? Or are you still tweaking?
No, right now I'm still tweaking, but yeah, I'm getting it to the point where she can. So I found a script, Python script that'll watch a folder. So you dump the G code into a watch folder, and then it preloads into Linux CNC. The problem is if the machine is in e-stop mode, it completely ignores it. So I need to figure out a way.
That's very similar to the way that SharePoint services works. Well,
That's kind of similar to how Octoprint works too. There's a watch folder, you dump it in, and it auto execute.
Yeah, it's
You
got
can hitch
a
your
wanna
camera
leave-
up to. You can hitch a camera up to Octoprint too, right?
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
have no intentions of really adding a camera. At first, when I first did this, I was totally about doing that, but I don't really care anymore.
I've seen cameras where they're on the spindle, so you can, really see.
For
like
sight
flying.
lines? Yeah.
Yeah, for sight lines. That was really neat.
If you're doing a lot of PCB work, yeah, I can
Yeah.
totally see that because you got to make sure you hit all the vias and all that stuff. But otherwise, I mean, I'm usually in here anyway, and if it's something I need to go back in the house and come back, maybe 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But I haven't gotten to that faith reliability yet because it's a whole new setup. So I'll sit here and babysit it for a bit. But
You'll have to post a link to that code to automatically load the G code. That's kind of the watch folder stuff. That'd be cool.
yeah, it's a little tiny Python script. I found it in CNC Zone. Pretty sure it's CNC Zone. A lot of anytime I put Linux CNC insert problem, a lot of it pops up at CNC Zone.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff on Linux CNC forums too, but
I was about to say there's a forums for that. It says Linux CNC forum.
yeah, linuxcnc.org, I think. Yeah, there's a lot of guys. There's guys you'll see there on and off quite a bit. Big John T. There's a few of them that are always there. It's one of those forums where there's a lot of guys that have been there for a very long time. So just if you ever post there, just make sure you've searched and done your homework beforehand.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as the IRC though.
Oh yeah.
That was hilarious. Get a real breakout card. Click. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
The internet.
Yes. But yeah, to answer your question, yeah, she will learn how to. And it's not that hard. I mean, the whole touch-off thing kind of threw me for a loop, but that's pretty simple. Just basically put whatever you're doing on the the wasteboard, and then X touch off, Y touch off, Z touch off, and then you're good to go.
Yep.
That sounds like a good place to transition to probing, doesn't it?
Ooh, probing.
We can certainly do that.
Do you want to transition to probing?
Here, let me turn the lights down.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're not talking that kind of probing. Do you want to make it so that if I stop talking, you're still seeing what
go ahead and make him a
I will make you front and center.
Okay. Well, like I was telling John earlier, this is PathPilot, and it's probing screens. On this particular screen, we've got XYZ probe, and it'll probe the corner. It'll probe X and Y, and then you can probe any of the four X positive, X negative, Y positive, Y negative, and you can probe the Z. Yes, and then the other screen that is there is you can probe a rectangular pocket, a channel in the X or channel in the Y, and then a boss, a rectangular boss. It will probe and find.
That's like it's probing the perimeter of that.
Yeah, and then you can also find a center on a round object. So I've got the machine set up with the probe on it, and what I'll do is I'm going to reposition this camera, and you guys kind of tell me when you can see well. Now you're looking at the ceiling, I'm sure.
We can see the logo. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
And what probe do you have?
I have their I think they call it their passive probe.
And that's the probe.
It's the cheaper one. It's a Renshaw normally closed unit, and then I also use their shuttle, and it comes in real handy.
What's the collet diameter? Is it a half inch?
3/4.
Oh.
3/4. And you just my brother had a 1100 where I used to work, and he gave me a tip that says every time you use the shuttle, before you make a move, hit the button of the axis you want to move in, and you'll be less prone to crashing your probe. So that's what I do. So to do a circle or a round boss, you just click on the find center, and it comes over and starts looking for the and it does the first 3 roughings, and it evidently does the math from there, because then it comes back and probes one more time, and over. So now it's found and set Z to the center of that that round piece, and plugged it into the DRO, and so now I'll swap that out for a block. I kicked the camera. Did I bend it? No, not too bad. All right. All right, and I want to start over there. And so when you tell it to find the center of a rectangle or a square, then it starts walking its way. Kind of interesting. It probes and sees it, and then once it doesn't see it, then it moves to the next face and probes across that one. This does take a little while. Because it's testing to see how long the rectangle is.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if anybody's figured out a way to do that using lasers. You know, just scan
I'm
it.
sure they have. It's just going to cost you a whole lot more money. Yeah, I think this probe cost me less than $300, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think that was going to be the next thing that I was going to bring up. These are super awesome, and they're super handy, and they make everything easier, but they are also, I wouldn't say really, really, really expensive, but they're definitely not a drop in the bucket. You know, you're looking at $300 or $400 to start.
No, you don't have to buy a wrench. You know, there are ones that people make on eBay, and there are, you know, even Eve's has got some designs he was looking at for building something like that. You know, you can get one for $200. I've seen them for $170. they're still not. I guess I still probably wouldn't consider that a drop in a bucket, but
Right.
a guy doesn't need to spend. And the other option too is I don't know what the surplus market is like for you out there, surplus tools, machine tools, but it's certainly worth looking at. In Minneapolis, there was a couple of places I could get things like that. I probably could have picked up a used wrench for $170.
Yeah.
Now the tips are a different story. If it doesn't come with tips, you gotta buy tips, the ruby tips, and those can be expensive.
Yeah, they like to. They think their tips are rather gold. So
now, what's the rule on changing the tips on those too? I mean, as far as size, the diameter of the tips, is that just based on what you're probing?
Well, this is the tip on this is a 3mm tip ruby, and you of course set that into your program for in your tool table for tip diameter and or tool diameter, and for the tool length from the nose of the
length of it
of the spindle, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I set that with my height gauge. I put my height gauge on the table and put a set of V blocks on and turn the probe upside down and go into the probe ring screen, so that when I can see the input LED light, and I come down and I touch the probe, and then I come down just a little harder until I get my my LED to light, and then I take my my probe distance off of that. There is also an automated way to do it also, but so that's the rectangular boss and the round boss. I don't have a rectangular hole or a channel or anything, but it works basically the same way. And then here's setting X and Y in a single move.
Yeah, they're definitely handy.
And so there's the X and Y in a single move, and then here is a Z probe. So
or that's doing inside.
No, it just what it did is it probed to this top. So now the machine is now set up for Y0, X0, Z0 on this particular block, where it's sitting. And so if this was a fixture or whatever, and you put your part in, and all, when you hit go, then it knows where it's at. The other nice kind of nifty thing is that it will also, if you've got a surface and you want to know what it is in relationship to Z, if you tell it to find Z, it'll come down and it'll probe to the surface, but it doesn't change the Z setting. All right?
It'll just tell you how the distance between Z and that point.
Right. And it told me that Z was 0.9996 difference from the Z, and that's a 234 block is what that block is. So that's some of the things you can do, and I think that Linux has got probing screens and everything that you can set up.
It's not easy. There's nothing. So I found somebody who did a whole new screen for the GemoCompile interface that I use for Linux CNC.
Right.
It's a probing screen, and it works very similar to that. I haven't had a chance to really try it yet, but it looks very similar. You know, you click on it, and it, you know, whichever icon you want for whatever function you're trying to do, and it kind of does the same sort of thing. I'm anxious to see how it works, given that I don't have tools that are, you know, in call it's at predefined height. So, you know, you do your probing, but then you've got to do a tool change, you know. So how do you?
You can take me off of.
Then I've got to do another.
It would be really cool to design something, me and Eves, or maybe me, you, Eves, John, or all of us, or whatever, to design a probe, because it just looks like it's just either a normal open or normal closed switch circuit.
Well, what it is, it's a Renshaw. If you look up Renshaw, there's 3 pins that stick out from the center of the probe at 120 degrees from each another, and they come in contact generally with a pair of balls for each pin. All right, that are in a circuit, so that if any pin lifts, it opens the circuit. All right. So, and what that does is it means that any direction that probe, when it's going in X, Y, it will lift one of those pins and tell the software, oh, you know, when open, you know, this is where X or Y or Z is at, you know, and it does the same thing. The probe is spring loaded, so that when you push up on it, it opens one or all of the pins and says, "I'm there." And so they're not, you know, they're not difficult to make. It is helpful if you have a lathe, metal lathe available for you for doing the machining and everything else. But it could be done using an x-carve also. So who's beeping? I'm getting beeping sounds.
Eves just posted a picture of an example.
Oh, I missed that.
That's the exact example I just posted to our link in the Hangout. Yeah, they're pretty simple. I mean, there's nothing super complicated about them.
Right. That would be fun. It would be a fun thing to design and build, I think.
Yeah. I mean, the probe that I
showed
showed an example of. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What's that?
I said it would be a fun group project.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a Renshaw probe, and they're simple to make, and all, and then you just set up your machine so that when you're in probing and when it goes open, it says, "I'm there," and you're a happy camper.
Yeah, it would be nice. It would be cool to have a probe. It would also be nice for any CNC to have a home touch off, so it knows exactly where that is every single time.
Yeah. One of the Mach 3 screen set that I have calls that a tool change touchpad.
Mhm.
All right, and it's a fixed pad, and it works on a normally open
Right.
circuit, so that when your tool comes down and touches the pad, it completes the circuit and says, "Oh, I've reached the pad," and
Right.
the difference between this tool and the last tool is this much, so I have to adjust Z
Mhm.
accordingly, and then it goes up and continues its work.
Right.
And that's generally situated right over the top of your tool change position,
Mhm.
so that when you click go on a non-repeatable tool holder, then the first thing it does is comes down and touches that touch plate, and then sets the appropriate tool length offset, and then goes
Yeah,
to
Eves has one.
make a new
Eves
part.
has a. Eves is showing the eBay special.
Yeah, that's not a bad little pad.
He's got two
No.
of them. Oh, greedy.
Yeah.
This came with the card, and then I bought this one about a year ago.
Oh, nice.
So
Well,
I'm
now-
going to make this one static on the bed or on the
Mhm.
wasteboard, and then this one I'll use for.
Now,
Well, I'm hyper interested in such a device for my x-carve and the monstrosity that it shall become, with time. But being able to Z0, also being able to level apart is something that I'm super interested in because I want to be able to mill PCBs at some point. I haven't quite gotten to that point in my design life cycle, but being able to mill PCB is what I want to be able to do.
the easiest way for PCB milling that I've seen is to put a sub base down and go in and do a facing cut on that and machine it on the machine so that it is dead flat in relationship to the machine, and then put your PC board down on that, and
That
then
works.
do your probing or your PC.
Yeah, because I think
milling
one
from
of the
there.
one complaint that I've read on the forums is depending on your work surface, the entire x-carve being torqued in a degree in relationship to the table, and causing the wasteboard to warp slightly. And when you're milling, a tenth of a millimeter off of a copper off of a silicone pad, when something's off 2 or 3 hundredths, that's a lot. So.
Yeah, and of course, with an MDF wasteboard or work table, and humidity and everything else, that board is gonna, it's just gonna change.
Stuff.
That's why my waste. Well, it's not a wasteboard. I never plan on running a end mill onto my work surface. I'm going to use 25 millimeter expanded PVC foam board that's 25 millimeters tall and very rigid and stable. It's not affected by moisture. So, but that is plan 9,704,000 now.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, do that. That's a smart hack. Just do a facing cut on some like an MDF or fiberboard or something. Just
Yeah.
And,
Well,
use that.
all my that plate that you guys saw underneath the block, that's a waste plate. That's a fixture plate, and I don't know if you could see it, but there's a whole bunch of end mill traces there from when I've cut parts for the Preston,
Mm-hmm.
because that piece has got a whole bunch of threaded holes in it and a whole bunch of dowel pins holes in it and everything else. But normally, I just use 1/4 inch MDF that I get from Home Depot, and cut it to the same size as the workpiece, and then it comes up against the stops, and then clamp down to it and machine away, and it's a done deal.
That's yeah, absolutely. But yeah,
Was that just now, Eves? That last video?
I think that's something he did before.
The PC boards.
That's
really
yeah.
cool.
That's still when he was on the old router Shapokolo.
Yeah, that's pretty much like a couple months after I got the Shapokolo. I mean, I still do PCBs on it. It's kind of ridiculous because the machine's so freaking huge, but still does it.
Yeah.
I will mill your PCB, bro.
Well, there's
Oh, nice.
there's
what's that?
That's a piece of 1/8 styrene, and this is the deck for a little towboat. This is the pilot house roof, and this is the two sides to the engine cover. I did a dozen of these for a guy in California. I did them on the Tormac, obviously, because the x-carve is still in a quadrillion pieces, and then
Nice.
So, quick question on the probing. Is that something Linux CNC can do?
yes.
Okay.
It's a lot easier if you have the. I think I sent you the link, Eves, to the that guy that did the probing panel. A lot of guys just added it right into Gemmacopi, but it'll work in Axis too. I think it's just a Python panel.
Oh, okay.
I think if you look in one of the Hangouts, I think it was just the one between you and I think I sent you a link to that.
Okay.
Take a look. If not, I can send it to you again. But I've added it to Gemmacopi on mine, so I've got another button that takes me to that probing panel, and it works pretty well. I guess looks like it works. I don't know.
And there's the hull for that deck, all right. And there's a pilot house. This one happens to be in plywood rather than styrene. But
I was going to say, guys, if we want to work on a probe, I have this inch thick HDPE that I've been dying to slice up. It just looks like a book. I have it on my shelf. I'm waiting for somebody to come in and go, oh, what book is that? It's black. It's the obelisk.
Yeah.
You're gonna put it on
Actually,
my desk.
what you should do is 3D carve. What's his name in Carbonite? Han Solo in Carbonite.
Oh, yeah. Well, I actually have that toolpath in Fusion already. But
There you go.
and I was gonna do it on this. It's like 6 tool changes. It's literally, I've got it right now. It's like 4 tool changes, and it still doesn't have enough detail for me. If I want this thing to have like crazy detail, I'm gonna have to do like either I'm gonna have to do the longest mill ever.
Yes,
or,
that's what you want. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you do the roughing. You do the roughing, and then get a ball end mill, about a 16th ball end mill, and you'd be good. For 24 hours later.
It's smaller than that. 16-inch.
62 inch. 32nd.
32nd, maybe.
I got some 32nd ball end mills.
I have to get something.
I got some 2 millimeter ball end mills.
I'd have to get something like a 0.5 millimeter or something to get good detail on that.
They make them. They're only $40 a pop.
I'll just buy one from the store, I think. I'll just find somebody that 3D printed one and just buy one of those.
Sorry about that, guys.
That's all.
I thought that, and I always mispronounce the Linux screen set, Minicapi or whatever it is.
Gamicapi,
yeah. Had
sure.
built-in probing screens, but maybe that's an add-on.
It has built-in homing. It has a homing screen for homing, X, Y, and Z.
I meant probing, but
not probing. Nothing built in that I've seen it. Well, I guess I'm not using. I don't know that I'm using the latest repo version, but
yeah.
But somebody wrote a really fine probing screen. I wonder if I can post a link. It's
what did I do? Oh, jeez.
Yeah, because that's really the last thing that I want to do is the probing part. I just need.
And it's one of the first that I will do.
Well, I need to make sure the unit worked first.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But I need to figure out how to ground out the spindle.
Ground the spindle? Are you talking about for the probes?
Yeah, because I would like to be able to do it where I just put the probe in the collet, and the collet will be grounded with everything else. But the problem is that since the maker slides are anodized, they're not.
The spindle's going to be suspended inside of the motor itself, right?
Well, yeah, but in the 6111 or the 611, the DeWalt, I think the bearings that it's using has a rubber grommet around it because the chassis itself, the aluminum shaft, is isolated from the collet.
That makes sense.
Before. Okay.
Yeah, put a slip ring on it.
On what?
On your collet. You've got just a little bit of space. This is a rigid 2400, but if you can find just a little bit of space where you can make it all the way around the collet adapter, you can put rig a slip ring right there or a brush.
Hmm.
You could put a metal brush on there, I guess.
Yeah. No. So that'd work.
John, do you know the 700 version of Makita? And Eve, your feedback increasing.
somebody's really feedbacking.
Somebody's really bad feedback. Who is it? 10-9.
It's
Yeah,
Eve.
it was Eves.
Take him out back and shun him.
Whoop him. Yeah.
So what's the
John,
question, Andrew?
John, the question is, okay, so Eves has already kind of told us that the Makita is, or not the Makita, the DeWalt is, the spindle is
Electrically isolated.
electrically isolated. Thank you, Dave. The question, John, since you have a Makita, is the spindle electrically isolated?
My guess is yes. When I look
think
at the
the
plug,
same.
it only has 2 prongs, so there's no ground plug.
Well, that's okay if the yeah.
I'm guessing that's going to be. I'll measure it right now. I'll bring up my.
Well, I know I'm going to be isolated because this is all a plastic housing.
Yeah.
So.
There's metal in there somewhere, I'd imagine.
Nope.
Well, no, not in the housing, but I would imagine inside of that housing.
Oh yeah, well there's the field coils and the armature, but
just drill a hole in the side and shove a screw in there.
Yeah, right. Sure. Just no problem. See my tape that I was measuring the speed of this thing?
Oh, nice.
Oh, it hauls ass.
Yeah, the chassis is isolated. There's no contact anything on the chassis, but I mean, the Dremel's all plastic, and I still did touch-offs. I just hitched an alligator. So my frame on my CNC router, I just had that grounded,
right,
basically. and then I just connected an alligator clip from the spindle to the frame. You know, it's
Right.
not elegant, but
I
mean,
think
it works.
I think Eves is trying to simplify the whole operation.
Well, and automated.
Yeah, kind of make it automated.
Now, given that this router is all metal, the case. Now, well, I know what he was asking. He was asking. Well, let me double check one thing. I'm sure.
Put your mic further away from your speakers there, Eves. That'll help with feedback. Or turn down your speakers. Testing 1, 2, 3. Nope.
I don't know, it's
Testing
weird.
1,
Nothing
2, 3.
changes. And then just over time it starts to...
It's probably a
Yeah.
Mac thing.
Or it's the gain, that the computer's increasing the gain.
It's probably a Mac thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's. Not sure how you're going to get around that isolation, but I mean, I get why they have to do it that way, but.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that would
to
complete
automate
all
it
kinds of
becomes difficult.
circuits. That would complete all kinds of circuits and be nasty.
I wonder if the you know, water-cooled spindles with VFDs on eBay are isolated as well.
Hard to say.
Well, I'm sure there's a way to get closer to that. I'm wondering if you could. What happens? So it's got a polarized plug, right?
On the router?
Yeah.
It's polarized, yeah, just no ground plug.
What happens if you touch off neutral and then touch the spindle?
Yeah.
Well, we're trying to complete the circuit, so.
Nah.
I don't know. Let's find out. I suspect it's all isolated.
Yeah.
You know,
more than likely.
the all the organizations that they have to go through for approval would be.
Oh yeah.
Well, I would imagine so too. Just for giggles, let's see if anything gets to that spindle.
No,
I wouldn't think it would.
It's completely isolated that way too.
Yeah.
Well, in order for
it, like a brush or something.
In order for it to not have a ground lead in the plug, it has to be double isolated from the housing. All right.
Right.
You and in order to if it has a ground on the plug, then the requirements are not quite as stringent for isolation.
Right.
But
I'm looking at an exploded diagram of it now.
Crap.
Yeah, that's gonna be.
Well, the solution I was going to do was basically find a bearing where the inner diameter met the size of the collet, and then basically slip it, and then put the collet. But the problem is the gap between the collet and the actual router is probably like 2 to 3 millimeters. So I haven't really figured that out yet.
So here's the link to the add-on for.
Oh, yeah, I can catch that.
There it is.
Redirecting.
You'll able to find it, but
that's nice.
and it's a panel. Yeah, it's not bad. So it's a panel, so you can add that to Access or Gemify or whatever. So it just shows up as another panel or another tab or however.
Yeah,
I think it's a tab and Access.
Yeah.
That's pretty swanky.
X, Y. Oh, they go all the way around. That's nice.
They'll even do corners.
Measure outside, measure inside. Chunk, chunk.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, do inside corners. All the way around. Rounds. It'll do Z.
Yeah, I've not tried to add that to Access, but you should try add that to Accesses and just see. I'm pretty sure. I mean, it should work.
Yeah.
I have a duplicate profile that's a complete copy of the working one, and that's the one I've been screwing around with.
Oh.
And just for my knowledge for later, because obviously I'm not. My x-carve isn't even here yet. At this workshop, it's at the other workshop, and I haven't touched it in a month. Anyway, for my understanding, that's just setting it up on a pin on the breakout board, right? And you just point Linux CNC, say, all right, that's my probe pin. When I do things, look for that.
Yeah, I think mine is on
pretty much
15 for me.
Yep, that's it. Yeah, that's a pretty cool little.
But all in all, I like it. I mean, it was hard to get there, but when I did the first op today, like I said, I liked the fact that I was able to visualize the entire working space of the machine and where exactly the part was, and touching off the slides and then going to town. It was pretty schwanky.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you set your
to do with this PC that's in here now.
Set your probe diameter. And set your trip height. Yeah, you can set all the parameters. Sweet. Warning, spoiler.
Well, you don't need any of that because you're running all fancy. Well, you'll need that when you get into your x-carve, I suppose, though. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Yep. Yep. Path measure. Oh. Edge length should be maximally equal to the radius. Yep. Okay. Okay. And this somewhere tells you where to go to retrieve all the goodies that you load into Linux CNC to make that work.
Yeah, it's actually there in. So at the very end of the very first post on that first link, the very end of that first post, there's where it says any of the search ends at XY moving the desired point, blah blah blah. Right below that, there's a link. It says sources.
Sources. Oh, yeah, okay.
And that's it. Just takes you to the GitHub page, and you can download the zip of it there, and it tells you exactly what to do to install it.
That's where I've run in. I don't understand this GitHub thing. I've tried.
Go ahead. I'm a complete ranking amateur at it, and that might actually be a good conversation for Eves to have with us one time too. Would be about
yes.
I mean, I know enough to be dangerous. I know, pulling from Git and submitting to Git, some basic stuff. I'm not a power user by any means, and I use it sometimes on my Linux CNC folder itself, so that I'll push that to GitHub. But I think I'm going to use his homebrew local one instead. But I use it just as a backup, so that if I change something I can revert back if I have to.
Yeah, that's basically how I use it, and mostly because it's a history of the crap I've changed. It's pretty handy when you're doing Arduino stuff. So, like for example, on the interactive house number thing, I made this thing where it detected light, right? So I had a little photo sensor on it. But I redacted that code, and later on I removed it, and then like 6 months later, it's like, where was that? So I was able to go back, and just like GitHub, and you were able to kind of go through the history, and you could see what you removed. You find that line, cut it back in, and you're good to go. And if you use something like Eclipse, the Eclipse IDE, it actually supports Git inside of it. So you can open it and then make the commit and then push from that. But I'm not suggesting, I mean, if you're just, whatever method you're using today is fine. The only thing, instead of pushing to GitHub, you're pushing to GitLab. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, I just have been using command line tools, which...
So everything's the same. Git commit, whatever your commit is, git add, whatever you want to add, and git push, and then it
Well, do you have to sign up and log in and all that in order to get stuff off of GitHub?
No.
No.
No credentials.
Oh, okay.
If you see that button there, if you go to that GitHub page, you see a button that says download zip. You just click on that, and it'll send you a zip file with all the code in it.
Yeah.
And the readme.md file is exactly what you're reading on that first screen where it says install, how to install it. So all the
All right.
It will be a little bit of a learning curve for you, Dave, if you're not familiar with Linux, doing this whole thing, but we'll get you there.
You think?
Speaking of which,
Because I haven't even found the download zip.
Oh, on that GitHub page?
Yeah.
Download zip. Yeah, it should. When you see the,
It's on the.
do you see,
It's on the
Yeah.
right.
On the right.
Should be
is
on.
Linux CNC very particular about video drivers?
yes. Do not use if you have, for instance, an ATI or like a GL accelerated card. You want to kind of avoid using any proprietary drivers at all cost.
Okay. Okay. Because this
The
is
reason.
good.
Well, yeah, the reason is it all comes down to interrupts, right? I mean, Linux CNC is running as it's running in a real-time framework, and when you start introducing a high-end graphics card or even medium-end graphics card, but they start pulling interrupts, and it basically causes problems for the timing on the real-time kernel.
Yeah. Same thing with Mach 3. They didn't like interrupts.
Yeah, and it'll cause weird things, missed steps, if you run what's the benchmark thing for Linux CNC that you can see your timing numbers and stuff, you'll notice that latency tests. Yeah, so if you run that with just a generic video driver, you'll get a high number, and then if you put in proprietary video drivers, that number will go higher dramatically sometimes, depending upon the ATI video drivers were notorious for causing problems with Linux CNC.
The workstation that I'm probably going to be using that I have been using for my UGS and the eventuality would be for Linux CNC actually has a Radeon Fire Pro in it. So,
Well, that's what's in here.
It won't matter because what'll happen is you'll install Linux CNC from the DVD. You'll just do the install and just leave whatever video driver it installs. Don't change shit.
Yeah. Yeah. As long as I'm not monkeying with anything, it should be alright.
Yep, you'll be fine.
Well, the only reason I was monkeying with it in the first place is when you when you could preview the toolpath. When I rotate it, it looks like a slideshow. So I was like, let me see what video drivers it has. And okay, there's an update. And then the second I did that, like everything broke. Everything.
Oh.
Was it a proprietary driver?
No, just an updated version of what was available, not from ATI.
See, that shouldn't break. That should be fine. Even after a reboot, it didn't come back?
No, I mean the machine came back, but Linux CNC would not launch. It threw an error.
Well, if you feel like ever going back and experimenting and torturing yourself again, I'd be interested to see what the error code it was throwing.
Okay. Well, what I was going to do is basically, because this machine has an onboard video card also.
Yeah.
I may just test it with that, and then that means I gain a video card, really. It's a win-win there.
I would absolutely try that, yeah. Yeah.
But I almost feel like this machine's overpowered for this.
It's funny, and it's a Pentium 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a Core 2. I've got a Core 2 quad in this. There's an old XPS, so it's a Core 2 quad. It's got like 7 or 8 gigs of RAM or something, and it's got this big, professional grade ATI Fire Pro like 1000 or something. It's just an old car. It's a 2007 PC, but it was like state of the art, top of the line, whoop-de-doo. It's even got a liquid cooled CPU. Shit you not, XPS. It's got a damn all-in-one liquid cooler on this thing. I was highly surprised, but overkill is definitely where that's
your watchword.
Yeah, I think I'm going to grab the cape that John grabbed, and then go that route. And then since the config is working, I should air quote be able to move that and get it to work. And the interesting thing is when I installed the machine kit on the Raspberry Pi, it like worked. There was no issues. But trying to upgrade this to machine kit, it was a pain in the ass. And to be honest, excuse me, Linux CNC was working fine, so I kind of just left it the way it was.
Is there a shield for the Raspberry Pi to give it a parallel port? I mean, probably not, but
well, all it's doing is breaking out the GPIO ports. But there isn't a shield that you can, or actually it's called a hat, but there isn't one available that you could buy. But there's two Eagle files that are available that you can make yourself. And basically what it has is a PIC32 that does the step generation for you. So you can make one, but you can't buy one.
I think I'll just pick up a computer from like the Salvation Army for like $50 and just call it a day.
No, that Core 2 Quad will work just fine. So that's exactly. So I've got a Dell Optiplex 755 that was a Core 2 Duo that I just got a Core 2 Quad processor and threw it in there.
Well, size-wise, right? Because this thing is one. Dell XPS computers are made with lead and steel and America.
Yeah, this is a little teeny Optiplex thing. It's awesome.
Yeah, this thing is like, full-size tower, boat anchor weight. I mean, the thing weighs an obnoxious amount. I don't know what's in this thing. Anyway, so for size, I was even looking for like a system on a chip, like a an Atom processor. And I've got a little laptop. It's a little netbook that I could throw Linux on or.
Apparently, notebooks are a no-no for Linux.
Yes. Yeah. Not notebooks.
It was
laptops.
Well,
no
that was just
allowed.
that was just a example of size. It's an Atom processor. I can get an Atom motherboard, an ITX motherboard with an Atom, an embedded chip on it, and build a really small computer and just mount it on the wall and be done with it. It was a size reference.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
The perfect form factor would be an ITX or mini ITX or the Intel NUC, but the problem is they don't have parallel ports.
Yeah. If you could somehow get a Mesa card in a NUC, that would be.
Do they have a PCI bus?
I mean, I could get a.
No,
ITX.
not the NUC.
Well, you could get an ITX
micro
board.
PCI Express.
An ITX board and throw a PCI parallel port card in there.
Yeah, you could do that. You could get an ITX board and throw that Mesa card in there. The Mesa card, if we can get 5 people to buy them, we can get them for, what was it, $85 a piece? Or no,
78 or something like that. Well, I'm in for 2.
It's a lot faster.
I'm in for a pair of them.
Yeah, I think I will do 1. As much as I could probably do 2, I probably won't. But
well, I'm thinking 2 because I'd like to probably someday set up a 4th axis, and so.
Well, actually, hold on. You guys are gonna love this. If this is what indeed I think it is, and it sure as hell is, that's a big old fat parallel port. So cheaper than a Mesa card.
Yeah, but not as smooth. You'll find that your machine will run considerably smoother and
everything with a Mesa card.
Oh yeah. I was running.
What makes the Mesa card?
I don't know.
Business?
I don't
what
know.
makes it better?
Yes.
Oh, the Mesa card is an FPGA chip, so it does all the step generation. So your CPU on the computer doesn't have to.
I see.
Yeah, that's the big magic that's happening.
Well, and I know for a fact that when I switched over from Mach 3 / parallel port on the 770 to the Path Pilot /
Lennox CNC / Mesa card that the machine runs better. I mean, you could just hear it run better, and
Well, I mean, the low end, medium end Mesa cards is no different than the Breakout, aside from the step generation, right? You still have a maximum of 5 axes and probably 5 inputs, right?
Yep.
See, that was the thing I couldn't get over. I mean, okay, great, you're getting better performance, but I don't have a Tormach, right? I have a Shipoko.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
So that's why I couldn't get over the $70.
And I think for some, as long as you're not, I think if I look at my step rates, I think I'm only doing maybe 30 kilohertz, between 25 and 30 kilohertz step rate on my motors. That's about my upper limit. And it moves fast enough now that I can't imagine really needing to go any faster, but it gives me more options.
No, I'm not saying that Mesa is absolutely, necessary, but I'm just saying it is.
Certainly, I think it is on a bigger machine like what you're running the Tormax. I think that's a smart thing for them.
Oh yeah. Well, that and they got away from Mach 3 and the fact that Mach 3 is dead in the water now.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's apparently free.
Is it?
Yeah, depending on what crazy backwater
where you buy a breakup board.
Hackerspace you go.
No, I mean the board I got, both boards I got came with Mach 3.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
A licensed Mach 3?
Yeah.
It
and
came
what
with
was
a
even
license.
crazier is that the Mach 3 installer on the first CD didn't work, so I downloaded the latest Mach 3 from Mach 3, or what is it called, Solution something, and I just dumped the license file in there and it worked. So apparently they don't give a crap either.
Okay, it came with a license file and everything. Oh, wow.
Well, I'm not saying it's legit, but it came with one.
There was a license file involved.
There was a license file involved. Yeah.
And the funny thing is that the short time I did use Mach, it didn't bother me. I mean, it looked like it was from Windows 3.1, but otherwise, it worked.
Yeah.
It did not work as good as it does in Linux CNC. That is absolutely sure. The refresh update on the screen and just jogging around is significantly better and smoother in Linux CNC than it was on Mach 3.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I still like this Gigabyte Intel Celeron whiz bang with the big old parallel port breakout, the ultra low, what they call it, low profile, right? It uses laptop memory. Basically, it's a laptop motherboard for a desktop for $70, and it comes with a parallel port. Why is my CNC controller coming online? That makes me nervous. Like somebody's out in the workshop kicking around on that thing.
Hey, Eves, when you were setting your stuff up, how much did you play with the max velocity and max acceleration on the axes?
About 15, 20 minutes. Because when I first jogged, it like shotgun across the gantry, but
yeah,
that's when I had to figure out what the hell was wrong. But otherwise, because I don't know, whatever the defaults are, it was set to something really high. I mean, it sounded really cool, but
they don't have any way of knowing what hardware you have, so that I think there's some numbers get thrown in there, and but yeah, generally what they tell you to do if you read enough of the manual is basically take it up to the point where it starts missing steps, and you'll hear it'll kind of lock up, the motor will lock up, it's just going too fast. And then bring it back down about 10% from that, and that's kind of what I've done.
Oh wow! So I went crazy conservative then.
Oh no, you can bump that up pretty damn fast. You'd be surprised because in Linux CNC you can always slow it down. You know, if it's moving too fast, you can always slow it down.
That is so nice.
What's that?
The feed rate override.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because from the jog wheel you can actually speed it up or slow it down. That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is nice.
I gotta get me one of those little things. Those seem so cool.
Well, I mean, it's handy because really, once I put the workpiece on the bed, I'm 100% using the pendant.
Yeah.
I mean, I even have the touch off as a button now. So, I mean, aside from loading the G code, you got to do that on the machine. But once it's there,
yeah, once it's there, I mean, so you load the G code, you can position your spindle, do a touch off or whatever from the pendant, and go send job or start job from the pendant.
Yeah, just start.
Yeah, well, you reference your machine and then go to your G54
Right. P1
000 and where your work is, and hit go and away you went.
How much is one of those pendants run?
I got mine on eBay about a year ago for $69-ish.
Well, that's not bad.
Yeah, I bought mine years ago, and I don't know what I paid for it.
They're about $98 now from the company I got my breakout board from. They sell the same one. It's about $96 or $98.
But they're different now because like the new one has all gray buttons, and mine has blue and yellow buttons.
Yeah, on eBay you still see some of those on occasions, the older ones, but
mine's got grayish buttons.
Yeah, that's the newer one. So the one I got last year is the older one.
Oh. I
mean, I guess that's why it was so cheap. Air quotes.
Yeah, probably.
But hey, it works like a damn. What impresses me is the battery life of this thing.
Yeah.
I left it on for 2 days straight. Didn't mean to, but I did. Came out here and it was working like a champ.
They don't have an auto power off? No, you have to pay for more.
Probably. And the range is pretty good because I had it in my my cargo pants pocket. I walked into the house and it was set to off in DRO mode, and it was still updating.
I wonder, it must be 2.4 gigs, I wonder.
No, it's probably like 900 megahertz or something crappier.
Oh, wow.
Longer wavelength to get that type of range, but
yeah.
They must be taking cues from Logitech on that battery life, because I've got a Logitech keyboard at work that I've had for like a year or two, and I haven't changed the batteries yet.
Yeah. Yeah, the Unity stuff? Yeah, because I have the Logitech K360 in here, and then the G602. And I haven't changed the battery. Well, this one has one AAA in it, and the keyboard has two AA's. And it's pretty nice. The wireless, that is pretty cool to have a wireless keyboard and mouse. You just throw it on the bed, you do whatever you need to do, and then I have a little cubby thing that I dump them in, and then I use the pendant. And I like this workflow better, and I like the fact that it's not in the cloud, and when I jog it, there's not this one Mississippi, two Mississippi, and then it jogs. It does it immediately.
Yeah.
It's nice. So, was this whole trek worth it? Now it seems to be. If you were to ask me like 72 hours, probably I would have been, what the hell am I doing? Why am I doing this?
Right. So I think the lesson here is, if someone has decided to watch this entire video and has gotten to this point, here's the lesson. The lesson is, it's going to be a bumpy road, through the over the mountains and through the woods. But when you get to Grandma's house, she's got a sweet spread set up for you.
Yes, good baby. Turkey and dressing and the whole
stuff, right? Yeah. So that's the lesson.
I think the best advice I could give somebody who might listen to this later about Linux CNC is the quote from the movie Contact, small step. So what was it? Small steps, Sparks. You gotta just be methodical, and which was difficult for me to do because I just kind of shotgun everything. So
in the same way,
you gotta really kind of have a plan of attack and one thing at a time, one axis at a time, get it working, go to the next one, because otherwise problems can creep in from anywhere with this thing, and trying to troubleshoot them you know, you could be fighting 10 different things and not even know it.
The good thing for me is the fact that I've got a couple of new friends now that are Linux experts that will get called upon when the time comes. So be prepared, guys.
Mm-hmm. My only advice is step config is the devil. That's it.
You know, it's stupid little things like with step config. Like you can have it all configured, and you go into step config and say, okay, I want to change my config from millimeters to inches. So you go in there and you pick your config file. You say, okay, it's millimeters. You switch it to inches, and you go forward, 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 and all of your settings in there will be changed, defaulted.
Yep. Because in the very beginning, what I was doing was like I would do the whole step config thing, jump into Linux CNC. Oh, I want to change that. Go back in, change that one parameter, and jump back out. And it's like, why is the jog rate all jacked up now?
Right.
And then I'll go and fix the jog rate, and then I'll go back. The thing I just changed prior is gone. So now I do everything straight up. Just open the INI. First off, that web config I told you about, that thing is awesome. Because then you can go in and like snipe that one option and change it from a web page.
So the web config just monkeys with the INI or no?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, somebody joined.
Ah, JK joined. Yeah.
Better late than never, huh?
Yeah, right.
Really.
Yeah. He was feeling guilty.
The first hour and a half, you're going to have to watch the video.
Just fast forward. Just fast forward. So we talk about Linux CNC and then skip to an hour and a half, and then there's the lesson. It's
Your
like
mic is
Bleach and
muted by
Naruto. There's
default
lots
too,
of filler.
JK, just in case you didn't know that.
Oh, Eves, I like your little nods to Bleach on your on the share and fusion and on the back of your laptop. I'm actually rewatching Bleach, so I started noticing all those little nods, and I was like, haha.
I love Bleach. Oh, so speaking of which, that's a good segue. John, I sent you I guess a share invite to Fusion. I don't know if you saw that.
I have to. I need to get a laptop running Windows 7 or something because right now my Mac, I've got a 2007 MacBook Pro, and I get it basically. Fusion 360 does not like the video card mat. Yeah, so pretty badly. There is no Linux version of. I've got a computer here in the garage that I'm doing this on now, but it's running Linux, not Windows. So I need to partition it and install Windows on it.
You're gonna laugh at me, but what I ended up doing, because I have a Mac Mini, 2010 Mac Mini, and it has the Iris 6000, not the newest 8000, 9000. So what I did is I have a NVIDIA 740 and a breakout box that connects to the Mini via the Thunderbolt connector, Thunderbolt 2.
Wow.
So I'm running an external video card, and Fusion runs like a bat out of hell.
How do you even power that?
I have a separate small ATX power supply from a home theater setup, and then the jumper thing that you just keep the power supply active all the time.
Yeah.
Done. I'll take a picture of it when I go back to the office. It's hilarious.
That's hilarious.
Okay, hold on, because I have to ask him about this. So is there a special enclosure that you have to buy in order to make this black magic tree happen?
Yeah, it's an enclosure that has a PCI 16 slot in it to Thunderbolt out.
Well,
it's specifically designed for RAID controllers, which is hilarious. But it doesn't. I mean, Thunderbolt is basically PCI Express. It's the same freaking interface.
Same
except
bus,
you could do video and USB and all types of crap. So, as far as the Mini is concerned, there is a video card in a PCI Express slot that's just not in it. That's all.
Well, shit the bed.
And the bandwidth on Thunderbolt is crazy high.
Thunderbolt 2, yes. It's pretty crazy.
Yes.
Well, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
you guys are talking Greek.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, Dave.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Basically, he's got a thing that's got a gizmo in it that's hooked up with a school cable, and it makes.
I figured that part out.
And it's really fast.
I figured that part out.
Yeah. Here, hold on, Eves. Here. Let me just pull out my magic box of tricks. Here, I get you a really good deal on this GTX 780, and you can hook that in there.
Nice. No, because my idea was to grab the cheapest under $50 video card, and it was like some weird wonky 740 super clocked that has 4 gigs on it and all that crap. And
yeah, it's probably DDR3.
No, it's DDR5. It's DDR5.
Oh, did you get that on eBay?
Yeah, no, not eBay. Amazon.
Oh. Yeah, I've got a bunch of hardware that I'm trying to get rid of, Eves. I'm gonna talk you into buying it. You need this for your PC Master Race.
Oh, what is that?
Maximus 6 formula with Intel 4770K.
Oh wow.
$400 and it's yours.
What's it do?
All the things.
It does things.
So it's a motherboard and a processor, and it's
a bit manipulator.
Yeah, it's an enthusiast grade motherboard, so you can screw in water cooling for the VRMs, and it's got a really fast Intel i7 processor in it from about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, which is still fast today, but its 3rd generation Haswell, I think. 4770K, like that.
We've deviated from CNC.
Yeah, we're somewhere else. I'm thinking about cutting out anyway.
Yeah, me too.
Well, another early one.
Yeah.
Poor JK is coming in, and everybody wants to leave now.
I know.
I think their first night was 6 hours.
Was that what we did the first night?
Yeah, we were just for forever and ever and ever on that thing.
I know there was like 4.5 hours of video on it, I think, if I look.
Over time we'll get a structure where we'll do like a show and then an after show. Just like get
the after show. So we'll do a show and then we all start drinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, the after party.
Hey guys, I've got a great idea. Cut this thing out.
So, John, what do you have to do left? You got everything jogging. What's next?
I've got to put side braces on because I've got my velocity cranked pretty much to the as fast as is reasonable.
And when it stops, everything shudders, right?
No, because I have the acceleration tuned pretty well, so that so it doesn't. You have to, figure mass in there, so you don't want the whole thing to slide across the table when it stops. So the acceleration is set
pretty well set. Huh?
Yeah. So that's all working pretty well. The x-axis is pretty long. It's 1,000 millimeters on this one. So there's a little bit of a resonance midpoint, at high speeds. So I had planned to put a support bracket, between to just sort of support that long run, and I'm going to do that tonight, I think, and get that done. And once that's done, the only thing I have to finish is the motor mounts. I still haven't done that yet. We have a file in Fusion 360, but my CNC guy really is old school, and all he wants is a DXF. So I need two-dimensional DXF flat view drawings. And aside from having a computer issues that I couldn't do it, but neither one of us were really up on Andrew and I. Neither one of us were up on the DXF export from Fusion.
I just haven't been able to mess with it. Like I said, I've been working on that shop like nobody.
Oh no, yeah. Oh, I get it.
John, what did your tall wide end plates run you? If you something that you'd like to talk about.
Yeah, that's I don't know. Let's see. Can you see that at all? Not really.
Yeah.
But
They came out really nice. All said and done, he did those for me. He machined that bar in the center for me, and I think it was all said and done $75.
Oh, geez, that's yeah.
So I got a nice price on that, and now he's going to do these motor mounts for me. And what the deal is that he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Haas mini mills. And I don't know why they call it a mini mill, because it's not like a Harbor Freight mini mill.
No, it's a it's a machining center. It's a machining center.
It's a machining center, yeah. So he's got a bunch of them. He's got one that's got this thing he bought it brand new in 2000, and it's got a CRT tube in it, and the power supply on the monitor itself is out, and I could probably repair that for him. So I'm going to take, well, I know I could fix it, but I'm going to take the monitor out of it, and I'm going to order on eBay. There's a company that sells replacement CRT or replacement LCD monitors that go in that place. They're actually MDA video monitors. So the old IBM monochrome display adapter standard. That's what these things run on. So trying to find a monitor that will fit in there is a problem, because there's only one company making CRTs anymore. And there's a couple of companies that have taken these LCD displays, and they come up with basically a scan line converter that will let you put in pretty much any signal you want, and it'll come out. They just work, and that's kind of what this is. It's $500 for it, but I'll buy it. He'll pay for that part. I'll do all the installation, and it sounds like if I do that, he's just gonna cut these things up. He'll make the motor mounts for us for free, the spindle mounts. So, well, he's gonna make 4 sets of them.
Oh, wow. If you put that model there, I can make the DXF for you. I mean, that's pretty easy.
Yeah, we can do that. Here, I'll share them.
Just share them.
Yeah, we'll do it right now.
Just dump it in that folder I created. So what, you need a top view and side view?
Yeah, so of each component. So there's the actual bracket that holds the spindle. I need a 3 view of that. I need a 3 view of. I probably don't need a 3 view of the plates, but just a 3 view of the. Okay. He just needs the 3 views of the components plus dimensions, so that he can. So what he does is he takes that drawing and he goes right up to his Haas and goes into the cheat code screen and just starts programming it right there.
Wow.
That's hardcore.
Yeah.
Imperial or metric?
Imperial. That's what he would prefer. Yeah, he's hardcore. He's such a funny guy. He's this little Vietnamese guy. Oh, he's hilarious.
So when he's typing in the G code, he goes, "I see blonde, brunette." Nobody got that reference, really?
No.
Nobody? Matrix?
Oh, haha. Right. Okay. Hold on a second.
She's being awfully camera shy today.
Yeah. Let's see. What
Are
is
you in the doghouse?
No.
Oh.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Where did I share? What is the thing? Projects. Delta. No, was it called Delta? Was it? No.
Oh, John, you know that the farm got sponsored 100%, right?
I did hear that. That's freaking amazing. It didn't seem like it took them very long to decide that either.
No.
What's that mean?
Farm. Actually, that's it's Andrew's name that I stole. Farm is 4-axis rotary machine. FARM.
Okay. Oh, that's the one you've been working on the drawings on.
Yep.
Okay.
They've completely sponsored it. They're going to cover all components. I have to cover the spindle and the rotary. Rotaries, there's 2. There's an A and C.
Yeah. Okay.
That's going to be pretty cool.
That's going to be really awesome.
Yeah, and then it's funny, too, because he gave me... I already had a lot of the parts for the open builders, but he gave me the SolidWorks master of everything he had. So I think I'm going to design a 60 to 100 watt CO2 laser. I think is the next thing I'm going to go for.
Ooh.
What kind of a print size?
I'm thinking the gantry will be about 1,000 by 750-ish.
Ooh.
Hey, Yves, shoot me your email address, either in, just do it, you can do it in a private message, and I'll just add you onto this file.
Okay.
That's probably the easiest thing.
Well, you know, I'm going with a wider belt on my x-axis, which is everybody else's y-axis, or standard machine y-axis, I should say. And so I've got some 9mm belting, and I needed 9mm smooth rollers.
Idle pullers, yeah.
Yeah. And the interesting thing is that you had mentioned that open build website, and I went there and I was poking around in it, and they had smooth rollers 9mm wide, and and so I could get them without bearings for like $4.50 a pop. So I ordered.
And what's nice about the open builders is if you have a part idea, and if they like it, they'll make it.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, nice.
So
who runs that group?
It's this guy named Mark. I don't know. I think it's a one-guy op. Seriously.
Wow.
Yeah. I just happened to see the fair-like thing, and I figured, what the hell? I'll just pitch my project, and I pitched it, and like a day later, he said, "Oh my God, what is this? Is this what I think it is?" And I had to explain it, and I told him I was going to do the whole machine kit thing with it, and he was like, "Okay, just
done."
What you need.
Yeah, done.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, Yves, let's do like a 4-axis 3D printer.
4-axis 3D printer. I mean, how would that be beneficial in any way?
Why?
I mean, that would be cool if you're trying to print something on top of something else.
Yeah. Well, no, I actually saw one. It was like 4 or 5-axis 3D printer, and that's what they did. You could like print sideways or print on a slanted surface, and they actually showed 3D printing on a glass jar.
Was it a Delta?
No, it was basically the head of it could pivot.
Yeah.
I think you should have called this the 4-axis rotary tool.
Well, I've got a problem. I've got a real problem. I've got 2 meters of maker slide that aren't going to have a home when I get all this done. So
that's a problem with a project in mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Indeed.
Most of us are thinking 3D printers, so.
Yeah. Well, I own a 3D printer that I made major changes to, and it still didn't do what I wanted it to do.
What did it
What did you want it to do? I mean,
it just didn't do the resolution that I needed back in the day.
That's fixable.
Yeah. But yeah, I was thinking of adding a 1/3 meter of maker slide and doing a delta maybe.
That would be fun.
I mean, I've got enough stepper motors to do a delta, and I've got a
Delta CNC router.
No, Delta 3D printer.
Oh yeah.
Why aren't there any Delta CNCs? Because that's like
there are.
But there's no kits really.
No kits.
No.
Well, because setting up something like Linux CNC to do that is not trivial. The kinematics to figure that out is, I don't know how to do it. I have no doubt that,
Something
It'd
like
be
that
hard.
would be a different motion controller like Gerbil, Smoothie Board, or Tiny G.
I
That'd
don't
be
know
easy.
that they
Probably.
could. I don't know that they could do the kinematics for that. I don't know.
For Delta?
Probably not.
All three
Yeah,
can.
can they?
Yeah, all three.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Huh. Huh. Interesting.
And I would almost suggest Tiny G. See, Tiny G is awesome in a sense of its functionality. What I hate about it is the fact that there aren't any. Well, there's only one G code sender, and that's Chili Pepper. That's my only beef with it, really. If there was other things I could use to send G code to it, I would be okay with it. As a motion control platform, it is nice. It is very, very, very nice. Supports six axes out of the gate. All types of I/O pins to do practically anything you want. It's really easy to address what you want it to do in the firmware, but I don't like Chili Pepper. I mean, no offense to the guy who makes it, but it just doesn't work for me.
Well, I've got some jalapenos in the garden. I have Thai chilies too.
I saw this CNC router on YouTube today, and it's a form of what they call a hexapod CNC router.
Oh yeah.
This would be nice in a garage because the bed could be your wall.
What?
And you could just put sheet goods in and have at it.
What has science done?
It's so cool.
Wow, that spindle is serious.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
This guy's like, hey, I heard you like.
I know they aren't cutting anything with it, though.
So.
No, he's not cutting anything with it. That is true, but I have no doubts that he could.
So, okay, we were all talking about designing something. Let's design a serious Delta style CNC.
They have those. I sent a video of that one time before. The one with the damn screws, Acme screws to move it.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
I don't want to say hobbyist grade, but not
Hobbyist
something.
grade, yeah. Not hydraulics.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, we could totally do that.
yeah.
I actually started one. I thought, do I still have that project file? Delta. Yeah.
I mean, I think that'd be a good. Project. I mean,
This would be a starting point. Here, I'll share this file with you, Eves. Oh no, Autodesk at MLab. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, that's
Oh, I didn't notice somebody in the chat's talking. Can we mount that on a x-carve?
Yeah.
I think it would crush the x-carve.
Yeah.
that thing is insane.
I like the idea of having the wall. You know, it's kind of a horizontal. That is pretty cool.
I'm trying to figure the functionality of this thing, though. I mean, what's it useful for?
It's really trippy watching. Oh, yeah, and given the name of the company that's working on it, it's got to be something. I don't know, nuclear power industry maybe. I don't know.
Well, yeah, it said something about nuclear or something or another.
And in something like that, a Delta style CNC, the platform itself can rotate too.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That would be really cool. What do you use for actuators? I mean, that's is it Maker Slide and Acme threaded rod, or I guess it could be.
Well, no, I would probably
ball
use
screws.
Standard extrusion with ball screws that go through the extrusion.
Oh yeah. Ooh.
And then we would have to figure out the racking system for something like that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, it's all doable. It's just how much money we want to spend.
Yeah, that's pretty much the long and the short of it is the that was Eves, that thing I shared you, it's like 500 millimeters from one side of the triangle to the other. It was pretty ambitious for a Delta printer idea. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't do any fusion stuff out here, but as soon as I go back upstairs, I'll take a look.
No, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, like I said, it was designed around a 20 by 40 Maker Slide for the legs for it, which would be respectable enough to as proof of concept. It's it's big, but it's not so big that we couldn't use the x-carve's DC motor spindle that Dave is in love with.
Oh yeah, right.
Something like that would be useful for high vertical stuff. My concern with something like a Delta style CNC machine is, what are you going to use it for? What are you going to use it to machine? How is it useful? So.
Well, I'd like to see us maybe collaborate on Eve's 40 to 60 watt laser. That would be nice to have a 40 watt laser in here.
I just wish it could be not CO2 and could be solid state, because.
Well, you can do diodes, and you can go as high as 15 watts, but then you start getting into cooling, and you're going to have to do fiber optics at that point.
Yeah.
Because the laser, what you need to get that power will be so freaking huge that you're going to have to recess it back in the machine somewhere and then run a fiber optic cable to where you want the output. I don't know. I mean, we could easily explore that platform, because basically what I want to do is use the C-beam, which is the same linear rails I'm using now, only because it's self-contained. It has everything it needs in the rail, so it makes it really small. Z, I'm going to do something kind of unique with that, and then I want to absolutely do an autofocus system. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have a friend that has an epilogue, and the focusing, it's literally a stick that you put underneath it that has markings, and then that's where I want autofocus, 100%.
You're thinking of the where you've got the tube and the mirrors. What do they call that?
Flying mirrors?
Yeah, flying mirror setup then.
Yeah.
Rather than fiber optic.
Too expensive.
You think fiber optic would be expensive?
Well, that type of optics grade fiber optic, yeah, that's going to be kind of pricey. You can't use the data stuff. I don't think it would stand. Plus, you're talking like well over 1,000 nanometer wavelength too, so it probably has to be special coded stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
It's funny because I know a little bit about optics, but my wife specializes in that. So when I was talking about it, she's like, "No, you can't. No, you can't do that." No. Did it? And then she was explaining about the wavelengths and whatnot, and it's like, okay, well, flying mirrors it is. I mean, the only problem I have with flying mirrors, if you do anything like ABS, which you're not supposed to really do about burn ABS in a laser, because I think the secondary gas it offputs is not argon, but something
toxic.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
But you have to vent outside the room that humans.
Yeah, you're definitely gonna have to exhaust outside. But even cutting stuff like acrylic, over time it cakes over the optics.
So single mode fiber. Single mode fiber is 1310 to 1625. It looks like nanometers. Yeah.
How much is it per foot?
The cable probably isn't much. It's terminating it. The termination equipment can be pricey. It's on the order of thousands of dollars for a termination kit, but it's designed for installers that are doing it. That's what they do for a living. Yeah. So it would be easier to find somebody that does fiber optic termination.
That would be me. I have a fiber optic termination kit.
Look at you. You never cease to amaze me.
No, because
is that for communications fiber?
Well, yeah, it's this guy. Fiber.
This guy.
Yeah.
Is it one of the really nice Fluke Network ones that you basically just sit it down, put two things in, and take your hands away from it? It doesn't.
No.
Yeah, well,
it is not.
I was going to say I was lucky enough to see one of those in action. The company that came in to terminate fire in our data center, they had one, and they just pull the fiber in, just all gorilla hand, and they just shove it into this machine, shove the other end in the machine, and hit a button, and it goes. That's it.
Yeah.
We used to fuse fibers in the telephone company that I worked for. We had some fiber to the curb, actually fiber to the house, and
Files, yeah.
we terminated fiber all the time. They even sent me to school for fiber optics.
I got a 2-hour crash course.
Yeah.
This apparently the machine that these guys used was pretty dummy proof, but I asked him how much it cost, and I was like, "Oh, is that a couple grand?" He's like, "No." I said, "What is it, like $1,500?" He's like, "No, you try 30 grand."
Yeah.
It's literally the size of a toaster oven.
Yeah. When I asked the flute guy how much it costs, and he literally asked me, "What type of car do I drive?"
Yeah.
Okay, add about 10K on top of that. And I'm like, holy crap. No, it's basically the manual version. It is flute, but it's the manual version. But it's designed for LC to LC, SC to SC. This is the standard stuff.
Yeah.
It's nothing crazy. But I didn't think any of that would be remotely acceptable for a laser that cuts crap.
I don't know. You know, there might be wattage limits on the fiber, and that's what I'd have to understand.
I'd say if you can polish it, it'll work.
That's what I think.
No.
That's outside of my pay grade.
Ask your wife.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm all set for not set, but I'm willing to settle for flying mirrors. But I mean, it's all part of the fun to experiment, I guess. As long as I don't burn a hole in the side of the room.
The house.
I was going to say, build a shop outside and burn that one down.
Jeez. But yeah, I mean, I have not done any CAD work at all for the laser I was talking about. So yeah, we could totally do that. Just come up with.
It should be pretty straightforward.
Yeah. I mean, my only requirement is 1,000 wide. I mean, it's not going to be 1,000 usable, but 1,000 wide, 750 long, Z probably 100, 120, I guess. And
Z shouldn't need to be too much.
No.
Yeah.
And then autofocus. That's like the only thing. Autofocus.
Yeah.
And any motion control platform is open for that.
Yeah.
Right.
You where are you gonna get your tubes?
I've done zero research.
Yeah. The company that my brother worked for, the boss decided that he wanted a laser. So he bought a Chinese laser, and it came in pieces.
Yep.
And Keith had to assemble it. And the first tube, there was a fault with it. So they got the tube replaced on warranty, and they sent the replacement tube, are you ready for this? In a cardboard box from China. Needless to say, the second tube arrived non-functional. So they got a hold of the manufacturers and said, hey guys, pack this thing right and get us a tube. So the third tube finally came, but Keith had to build custom mounts for it because it was a different size, and they finally got it working. But and then he wound up with another job, so he doesn't have to futz with it anymore.
Yeah, but the tubes themselves, let's just say 60 watt. I've seen them anywhere between like $170 to $200, no power supply.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You still need the power supply, and then you need some sort of PWM, and then you need something to send for G-code wise. So when I say MO3 power level, that has to translate that to a PWM signal, so the laser would do its thing.
Right.
Yep.
So, and that's all done, right? It's just a matter of picking something that's inexpensive.
I think Lennox will deal with that, won't it, John?
Yep.
Isn't that one of the things that they tout?
There's people already doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not reinventing the wheel. I'm just looking for something, a nice, good size unit Good size, good to medium Z travel, nothing crazy, but autofocus.
What are you going to build the enclosure out of?
Haven't even gotten that far.
Yeah.
60 watt CO2 laser tube and power supply. That's from China though, but
Most of them.
$500.
Yeah.
Wow, well, how much is, so the power supply is what, 48 volts, 50 amps?
Let's see, 60 watt power supply. It is this is the 60 watt. They have tubes up to 100 watts. The 60 watt is triggering voltage is 24 kV. Operating voltage is 16 kV. But they don't tell me what the maximum output voltage is. 40 watts at 28. Yeah, 40 watts at 28 kV.
Yeah, because the laser I have inside now is a diode-based one. It's a 4 watt, and it cuts some stuff, but it tickles a lot of things.
And that's like one of the ones like that I see on eBay. They're this big or whatever.
You mean the laser? Yeah, it has a huge heat sink around it. Yeah. And that's running off of Gerbil.
Right. And those are the like $200 jobs, something like that.
No, I got that for $30.
I'm talking about just the head.
Yeah, it was like $30. And I got mine. 4 watt.
Maybe I'm thinking of something bigger.
Yeah, and plus these are blue. They're not like infrared. I think the ones you're talking about are infrared. Which are nice because, I mean, you still need eye protection, but if you have the unit covered in some fashion, you're okay. But the unit I'm using, since it's using basically a blue laser, you need absolutely 100% eye protection when this thing's running.
Well, at least you have the ability to see the blue laser. The CO2 ones, you can't see.
Yeah, they're infrared. You can't see them.
Yeah,
Right.
so you have to be really
gotta blow
careful with that.
smoke. Don't you blow smoke? That's what they used to do on Mission Impossible. You know, when they wanted to see the lasers running across the floor, they just blew smoke, and they showed up red. Not.
This is a 1 watt IR laser.
Now, with a 1 watt, if you have the proper optics, you could probably get some not serious cutting power, but decent cutting power. I think the lens is called an M3 or something like that. It's an M104 is the diode I got. I think it's 3.72 watts, but labeled as 4 watts. And then the optics I think for it is an M03. Glass.
And you're cutting with that? What are you cutting?
I cut paper.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it can engrave wood for sure. And engraved wood cuts balsa pretty easily. It cuts pretty much any type of vellum, cardstock, or anything like that. But I'm wanting to cut it acrylic.
Right. And I'd be wanting to cut probably up to 1/4 inch Baltic birch plywood.
Yeah, 60 watts can do some quick work with that.
Yeah.
And not even at full power either.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a little 3D printer. It's a CNC laser cutter engraver for $75. What is this thing?
Now, I guess if somebody wanted to get crazy, you, in theory, could put a tube laser on an x-carve with flying mirrors.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that.
That'd be dangerous as all hell, but...
if you build an enclosure around it, it wouldn't. You know. What do you have you given any guesstimations to all up cost?
Trying to hit under 600-700, but depends, I guess, on the laser itself.
Yeah.
Probably going to be more expensive. What's going to be hilarious is the mechanics is going to equal the cost of the laser.
Yeah.
I mean, unless I could find a local vendor that sells them that, you know, that are decent quality and they're not like, you know, 1,001 operation hours or some crazy crap like that.
Oh, yeah.
I think the mean time between failure is 100,000 hours on those.
On the tubes?
Yeah.
I don't know. The Hack Factory Minneapolis that I used to belong to, they seem to be replacing the tube on their laser probably every 2 months or something like that. It seems like somebody's complaining that, hey, I think the tube is out again. I mean, it's getting a lot of use, but
Wow. Okay.
they replace it a lot.
Let's do 60 watts.
Well,
Man.
Yeah, I guess that's the one that I kept seeing.
Oh wow, 2,000 hours.
Yeah, 1 watt. Oh wow.
2,000 hours is quite a while though, for
Yeah.
hobby use.
Yeah. So triggering voltage is 25 kilovolts. Operating is 18. Current is 22 milliamp hours. Wow, 1,000. Wow, that thing is big as crap. It's
So
12.
here's a question: how many watts do you need to get through acrylic?
Get through what?
How many watts do you need to cut acrylic?
Acrylic 40.
40 watts.
Yeah, a 40 watt CO2 tube will cut through acrylic.
Okay, what about these diode lasers? Or that ain't happening.
No. You were basically tickling it. I think you'll score it. You'll score it for sure, but you're not going to really cut through.
If you're running a laser 8 hours a day, 2,000 hours is 250 days.
Now, and that's on the quality of the tube, so...
Yeah,
doesn't
I'm
take
sure
off.
these guys are buying cheap Chinese tubes too. So
Yeah, so I would take off 15% of whatever that is, that value. No, seriously. I mean, that's typically what we do at work. When we get spare parts, we take off 15% of whatever the mean time between failure is, and that's how we justify replacements.
You've got a day job too?
Yeah, I have a day job.
Oh, what do you do?
I am the sysadmin for a company that does IT services for cruise ships, fleet management.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. That's right. All right, and you've got your AB.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
What's funny is I have my actual degree is in aeronautics engineering. I never did anything there.
somehow that doesn't surprise me.
Except what you do at home, right?
Yeah. But
I'm looking up 40 watt CO2 laser, and it's full of direct from China. The little
yeah.
Oh,
little
yeah.
$500, $600, $700, $800 bed lasers.
It's funny because I can find manufacturers of actual, like, fully complete lasers in the United States, but they don't sell the tubes. Right? I mean,
They're
do
probably
sell.
buying them from China too.
Yeah.
What about Edmund Scientific Company? Anybody look there? Remember those guys?
Edmund Scientific? Oh, wow, they're old.
Yeah.
They still
They've been
around?
forever. Oh yeah. Probably bought and sold 10 times since we knew them last, but
Yeah. There was another one, something hard to find tools. Can't remember the first name of it.
I
That
don't know.
sold some really neat little, like they said, hard to find tools, and they just don't exist anymore.
Oh, guys, speaking of not existing anymore, I'm gonna head off.
Now, you're going to be non-existent, huh?
From this chat for.
Yeah. I should probably think about doing the same thing. Oh, my back is starting to complain at me for sitting on a stool for so long.
So anyway, you guys have a good night. I'm gonna head off.
All right.
all right. See you, Andrew.
Yeah.
Later.
I built a nice little bench block for my brother, and
Yeah?
surface grounded, but unfortunately I've got it all wrapped up ready to ship, so I can't show it to you guys. So, but yeah, it turned out pretty nice. So, I think I'm gonna take Andrew's lead and head out of here myself. So, we will catch up with you guys next Saturday, if not sooner.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
All right. Take her easy.
All right.
Bet.
See ya. Well, I think as it always goes, one person goes and then everybody else leaves.
Yeah. Well, I'm really glad you were able to get your shit working, though. That's
Yeah. Well, it was a long, windy road. You know what's interesting is I think the performance is better. It sounds completely different. It's very hard to explain.
Well, it doesn't surprise me because the algorithms that they use, you know. But wait, what drivers are you using now?
I've always been using ST5045s. They're external drivers. These are the same drivers I was using with TinyG and Gerbil.
So it's just how they're
whatever frequency and how they're whatever the pre-planning is completely different.
Yeah.
And it's pulling not way more amps. It was doing 10-ish before. Now it's doing like 13-ish now.
That's a fair amount of increase. Do your motors get warm at all?
No.
Oh, then they're still fine.
Yeah. The only stepper that gets warm is the A-axis, but it's a little tiny NEMA 17.
It would be fun to try these at 48 volts rather than 24.
Yeah, I think I'm good with
you got to go faster, but yeah, I hit a resonance on these. I got to get that side bracket on, and there are the side supports on the long runs just to see if I can tighten that up a little bit.
Yeah, I did that a while ago, and I noticed when with TinyG, anytime it does any arcs, I was getting this weird kind of like high-pitched whine. And basically the entire gantry was a guitar box at that point.
Yeah.
Strapping them down dead center helped a lot with that noise.
Yeah.
And the machine is pretty stable in the sense that the wasteboard and everything on top of it's so heavy that it doesn't jerk around a lot.
So you're using MDF as a wasteboard?
No, I'm using this contractor grade composite for the wasteboard. It weighs a freaking metric ton. They didn't have any MDF when I went to Lowe's that day, and they had this, so I went with this. It works fine.
Huh. Well, it's probably actually maybe better if it doesn't swell, if it doesn't respond to temperature changes as much. It might be all right.
Yeah. No. I haven't done a caliper test on it probably in like 6 months, so I don't know how in or out it is. But the T slots are basically attached directly to the extrusion. So those should be still square. Just the midpoints, basically the space between the T slots is where that board is.
It's I've been looking at getting another aluminum bed for this, and I may do that at some point. It's just an MDF piece I have in there right now, and it'll be fine for short-term stuff. But I might build a vacuum table. I've been looking at doing that. I think some of the stuff that this guy wants me to cut, it'd be nice to have doing drag knife stuff or even with the router. It'd be nice to have. It's EVP foam or whatever that stuff is called.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to be able to have a vacuum table to hold it down.
Yeah, I was seeing that some guy was using a refrigerator compressor for his vacuum pump. They're quiet. I mean, that's tolerable.
So I was looking at, there's about 20 miles away, there's a surplus shop called Murphy's Surplus out here, and I know Alan Murphy really well and his dad, and they specialize mostly in military communications equipment, but they get all kinds of weird stuff in, and he's got some really nice vacuum pump. It's a two-stage pump, so you can actually cascade the two together if you want. Which is actually how it was configured. It says it does 40 torr, and I don't know enough about that to determine if that would be enough. I don't know. But it was a beautiful pump.
Wow.
It's gosh.
So would you make a vacuum table the size of your bed, or you're talking about like a little small one?
No, I'd probably do it the size of the bed, because some of the stuff he wants me to do, he's going to have the sheets cut so they'll fit in my bed, so that I can essentially, cut a bunch of parts out of one sheet. So it would be a full-size vacuum table if I make one.
Okay.
So, I don't know.
And you would make it G-code controllable?
As far as on or off, yeah. I mean, it's no different than spindle. I'd probably just be, hitch the motor up to hitch the vacuum up to the spindle control, right? Probably the same difference.
Well, okay. So basically, anything you cut from that point forward would be strictly a vacuum table. You're never gonna.
Oh no, I would make the vacuum table removable.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, because then in your post processor you could add, okay, so this post processor specifically for vacuum table stuff and then you could put the G code to turn it on and off. And that's the thing I like about Linux CNC. You can make your own custom M codes. So in theory, you could do that.
Yeah. Okay. It was pinging me. He's apparently, well, he's in Minneapolis area, and so he's found out that's where I'm kind of hailing from, and well, not now, but that's where I was. But he's giving me names. He's mentioned Axeman. Axeman is a surplus place off of University Avenue in St. Paul, right on the border between St. Paul and Minneapolis, and it's kind of a surplus shop, but they buy a lot of overstock from companies too, so they'll have like a bin that it's like a four-wheel cart, cloth cart, kind of like a laundry cart, but about bigger, and it'll be full of leather scraps that they got from some company and paid probably nothing for, you know. And you can go in there and just pull whatever you want, and you know, it might be $5.
Wow.
It's a cool store. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately in my area there really isn't any like swap meets or anything like that. I mean, I know one other guy who has a plasma cutter, but that's like it. And he does like commercial stuff only. He doesn't do. It's not like a hobbyist grade. I think it's a Torchmate, but I couldn't tell you what model it is. I really don't know anybody else that does anything like this at all.
Yeah, it's kind of neat that we're doing this, you know, with the Hangouts and stuff too. It's kind of like a little virtual thing. I kind of like.
Yeah, I mean it's good. I mean I like throwing ideas off you guys, and I mean it was a great help having, you know, well, you were helping me specifically with the Linux CNC, but now when Andrew and Dave get into that, at least I can offset that from you. I'll know enough to help.
Well, I think Dave is going to really struggle with it. You know, it might almost be beneficial to get something basically running and then send him the hard drive almost, you know, I wonder.
Well, what if he had a Mesa? Wouldn't that be easier? Because you could pre-configure everything, I think, right?
Yeah, you could. And Linux, well, as long as we have the problem is it's pretty forgiving though of running it on different hardware, right? I mean, I've done that before and it just seems to run. But
well, yeah, I mean, there's a live when you have the Linux CNC ISO, there is a live version of it on the same.
Oh, that's true. So yeah. So I mean, if I have a Mesa card, whatever, you know, I could do a config for him and just send him those config files once he has the live installed. So. But
the tuning he's going to have to do.
Yeah, yeah, and I think he'll figure that out. It's not terribly hard.
Okay.
We could even do you know, log me in kind of thing if we had to. I don't know how that would work on Linux CNC. Remote desktop, RDP.
Well, you know, it's funny because there is a web browser. I think it's Iceweasel or something.
Yeah, that's what I think that's default.
And there's like 5 or 6 web pages I went to where it just said like no, and it didn't load anything. Anything
really?
that has Flash in it, forget it. It completely craps on itself.
Flash is evil anyway.
It's gonna be, this machine is specifically for this task, so it was just convenient that it had a browser on it. I mean, I have my laptop out here anyway.
Are you in the garage,
Huh?
You're in the garage. Oh, that's right. Yeah, you are in the garage.
Yeah, I'm in the garage. Yeah. It's funny because now I gain a laptop because the laptop is what I was using Chili Pepper to run the CNC.
Oh yeah.
So now I got a little netbook in the deal. So.
Yeah, I would try the built-in video card and see how that works.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do it now because I'm happy it's working. It's cool. It's nice. I just need to do something about the SSR for the spindle because that freaked me out. Because I just moved the machine and I unplugged it and then plugged it back in and then powered it up and all of a sudden the spindle just turned on. Yeah, that's not cool.
So that right there is the schematic for the circuit that I'm using. So there's a relay and 2 e-stops or 3. They show how you can just keep cascading e-stops, and then the enable button. This is actually the power on.
I see.
So so that basically it self-energizes the relay, and whenever you push this button or whenever you push any of the e-stops,
it actually disengages the relay.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I'll take a picture of it and post it to the group.
Okay.
But it freaking just works. It just works well.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem.
Well, what I'll probably
you had another. Yeah, you were going to use your Arduino.
Yeah, because first off, that gives me not that I need 52 more inputs, but I mean it gives me more inputs. So then I could easily do something because the Arduino is pretty much useless until Linux CNC boots and runs. So I can easily do something. Well, okay, the enable line is on that guy, and then when he comes up, then I'll tell him to go high, and then that'll go. Because as it sits now, everything kind of pulses.
And then I'm gonna try, and then I'll do this guy. Once I get everything working, then I'm gonna hitch this guy up.
I should have got that damn breakout board. Because I got 2 BeagleBone Blacks, and I was gonna make my own breakout, and I didn't do any of that. So I think
it's so small. I love it.
Yeah, that's the attraction for me, because that would literally fit inside the box where right now the controller is sitting.
I just happen to. Do you use the Apple Magic Mouse at all? Are you an Apple guy or no?
No, I have the touch. It's basically the touch mouse, but the Bluetooth touch mouse.
Yeah, so it's got the touchpad on top of it.
Yeah, no, it's the flat one. It's similar to what's on a laptop.
Oh, I know what you. Yeah. Yes. So I use both. I've got one of those, but I've got the Magic Mouse. And the Magic Mouse comes in a little plastic case. I don't know where it is right now, but I have it somewhere.
Oh, the BeagleBone fits in it?
It freaking fits in there like it was made for it. That's that's where. That's where that's gonna go. Well, we'll see. If it actually ends up working, I might actually just completely convert to it and see.
The only thing that kind of concerns me about the BeagleBone Black is apparently its video performance is very poor.
It is. It's not. It's an embedded processor. It's not a media sort of, which is where the Raspberry Pi kind of comes into play. It's, it just depends on what you want to do. But if people do use it and they do remote X, that's the way I've seen it. Just SSH space capital X and then over to that machine to do X forward and then just send that display over to what I've done that with that BeagleBone Black and just send the display to my laptop and there's a little bit of latency, but nothing that would make it unusable by any means.
Yeah, it's funny because I tried to do VNC because I was lazy, and Linux CNC wouldn't start. Because it actually checks to see the display, and it noticed the display was not enabled. Because when you VNC in, it actually reroutes. I mean, you know how it works. Yeah. So I'm gonna have to do. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do startup. Although it's not that big of a deal because, like I said, all I really care about is slinging the G code to this machine. Whoa, awesome.
What did you do?
I tapped the machine. There's a keyboard sitting kind of precariously across the top of it, and when I tapped it, it fell over.
Oh.
I guess I didn't like the fact that I pointed at it, but once I sling the G code to it, that's pretty much it. I mean, I pretty like I said, the pendant makes up for all the ridiculousness for Axes, the GUI, because it's like there's really no buttons to do anything. Like home all I think is in touch off, and then you can stop the spindle, and that's it.
I am kind of surprised you didn't like Gemmacampy, I guess, or Gemmacampy. I'm kind of surprised you didn't like it.
It's too fucking busy. I know.
You know why I like it? Is it because it reminds me of like if you walk up to a Hosmel or something, they've got that big panel with everything on it. It's kind of like that. So and those are really busy. I mean, those got a flat keyboard built onto those panels, and I mean they're just there's freaking buttons everywhere.
All I really care about is that the toolpath preview thing. I didn't think that was going to be a big deal, but I like that a lot. The DRO, I wish it was not in that window. I wish it was a separate window, like a separate box. Like that gray space underneath the manual control, if I can stick the DRO there, and that way the toolpath previewer is completely clear. And then touch off per axes, or touch off whatever, home all, probing functions. There was another option. It escapes me. There was like one other button I want. I mean, it's not a lot.
No, but you know what would be worth doing is if you do this and it works out well, is certainly let the guys at Machine Kit know, because they could add it to the next distribution of Machine Kit. So it's just one of the options that you can install by default.
Yeah,
that'd be worth.
But,
I mean, because especially with Machine Kit, you're looking for something a little lighter too. I think that would be nice.
Yeah.
I kind of wish there was. I remember in the early days of Linux, there was console games that were basically just direct to hardware.
Yeah.
To the video, and I kind of long for a Linux CNC interface for that. Just skip backs all together and just go, just right to the hardware, which is probably a little bit what Mach 3 did and Mach 4. Well, no, those are Windows. Those are Windows. Ours weren't console based.
Yeah.
But there was I don't know if it was Machine Kit or if it's, I think it might be Machine Kit. There's actually a text mode interface.
Yeah, it's called DOS. I saw that. The big blue box.
It's so weird.
Well, I mean, hey, if you don't really care about anything and you just want to see the DRO and stop, there you go.
And load a file.
Yeah.
And you could SSH into the machine all day long and run it.
Yeah.
Without any worry about what the video processor is. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you got it working. I'm gonna go and drill my support boards, and I know what time it is here. Maybe I won't. I have neighbors that complain when I'm in the garage too late.
Really?
Yeah.
It's speaking of which. So about I think it was about a month ago, I was cutting out these little sign things for this wine place that's nearby. And the machine was running probably all day. Like, we were talking like 6 or 7 hours, because it was a pretty big op. It was like 3 tool changes or whatever. And the neighbor came across and knocked on the door. She's like, "Is there something wrong with your pipes?" I'm like, "Your pipes? The house?" "Yeah." "Well, typically house pipes, they make this kind of like weird noise." I'm like, "No." "Oh, you're talking, that's the CNC in the garage." She's like, "A what?" It's kind of like a router thing. And what's weird is, like, I can hear it in the house for sure, but like in front of the house at the mailbox, you can't hear it at all.
Yeah.
So I guess it was ricocheting at a specific angle outside, like because my garage has a garage door, but it also has a side door. And that side door is on, like, the garage is on an angle, and I think it's like ricocheting like perfectly to make the door
bouncing right into his house.
Yeah. Directly towards where she was, and she was able to hear it. But she's like, normally I couldn't hear it, but today I heard like this noise, and I thought your pipes were going bad or something. So I was just letting you know.
Oh yeah, no, you can't. If I keep the doors and everything shut, it's pretty darn quiet. Even if I turn the table saw on, it's pretty quiet. But yeah, they're not super friendly.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, though, the DeWalt is the loudest power tool I have here.
Really?
Yes, it is louder than my table saw. It is louder than my drill press. It is louder than my miter saw. Okay, the planer. It competes with the planer. But it is by far the loudest power tool I have.
So it's kind of buried in stuff, but that's an old vintage. It is a David and Wells out of Los Angeles router that or a planer, joiner technically. Yeah. That I had. I completely stripped it. I had it powder coated, black and red like that.
Nice.
Yeah, it's and the guy, whoever I got it from, his dad actually made that wooden case that it's in. So, I love to do that. I like to get the old tools, like the old bandsaw over there.
Yeah,
I love to do that. They just don't make them like that anymore. So.
Yeah, that's one thing I lack is I don't need a crazy big bandsaw, but like a decent bandsaw, just for small stuff. Because right now I'm using the miter for kind of dangerous and nefarious shit. I know I shouldn't be using a miter saw for, but it's kind of all I have. So
making toothpicks?
No, just like making angled cuts that I shouldn't be using. Like if I need to, the piece is too big and I'm trying to make a square out of it because I only need this much, and I'm trying to like. Yeah, it's dangerous. I shouldn't be doing it. I know I shouldn't be doing it.
I was that way with chop saws at the hackerspace. Oh my gosh.
Those are wicked dangerous. I remember, so I've got an angle grinder here, you know, the metal, you know, whatever, the high-speed frickin' DeWalt thing. And I typically don't use a shield on them, and I hadn't used one in probably a year, and it got me right here, and there's still a scar there.
Wow.
Oof.
Yeah,
those are wicked.
One time where I was using a table saw, and I don't know what it was, but it flicked up, and it somehow got. Oops. I didn't mean to do that. Well, I use these guys now.
Oh. Yeah.
But it kind of like skirted in between my glasses, like right here.
Oof.
That was close enough.
Yeah, that's enough of that.
Yeah. So I picked up, this was at Amazon. It was like $7 or something like that. I got 2.
Yeah, I have several pair just around every tool. I don't believe in the guards like table saws. A lot of times when you buy them, come with all those guards. That's the first shit I remove off of them, because I've used table saws since I was 12 years old probably, and I think those guards by and large cause more dangerous situations because people take things for granted and you can't see, so you take chances. And
yeah.
I'd rather see the blade.
Yeah. Yeah.
We left when we moved from Minneapolis to here in 2012. I left a bunch of stuff. I basically donated a bunch of stuff to the hackerspace and just left it there. Table saw, a lot of tools. So when I came here, I just Craigslist. The table saw back there is a rigid granite top table saw. I thought, and it's absolutely wonderful, but I really wasn't thinking when I bought it. I'm like, oh, granite top, it's going to be awesome, right? And it is. It's really cool, but I like magnetic tools too, and it doesn't work real well with the granite tabletop.
Oh yeah.
I didn't even think about that until after I got it. I'm like, oh shit, can't use any of that. So the bandsaw, I wasn't looking for anything that big. That's an 18-inch Craftsman, probably 1950s vintage. I wasn't looking for anything that big, but the 14-inch deltas that everybody wants out here on the used market, they get $500 for them. If it's an old one in good shape, they're just stupid expensive. And this was $300, so I couldn't touch a smaller one for what I got this one for.
Wow.
So I probably got more than that into it in rattle can paint, but
wow.
don't want to think about that.
Yeah, I think my air quote tool set aside, okay, the laser, that'd be cool to have. And the only reason I really want that is because the kerf. Because there's things I want to cut that I really can't cut with the router or the CNC, because there's no way I can get a blade that or a bit small enough to really make sharp corners, and a laser would offset that. But really, I guess it would be a bandsaw. I mean, everything else I'm pretty much good to go.
Yeah, there's a few things I'd like to have. There's 3D printer I definitely want to have. There's a couple of things that projects that I kind of have on hold that I'd like to have that for, but I really like metalworking too, so I just don't have room for it, so it would never happen in this space. But I had an old Logan metal lathe that I completely rebuilt that and worked like a champ, and then I just one of the problems with the metal lathe was I'd use it out here in the garage, and I'd try to shake most of the shavings off me, but I'd go in the house, and lo and behold, next morning my wife would be yelling at me because she stepped on a metal shaving somewhere in the house. So I just kind of got sick of having they're kind of messy, so I just kind of got sick of that, and I ended up selling it. And I wished I hadn't now, but. Yeah. But another metal lathe would be nice. It doesn't need to be even a shear line. I think that might be what I end up with next. As far as a lathe goes, that would probably be the next one. Shear line, and then a decent milling machine of some sort, vertical or a knee mill or something like that.
I think the most popular one is the G504 from Grizzly.
Yeah,
that's like the most common converted mill. Yeah.
A lot of kits for that almost directly bolt on for CNC.
Yeah, but the starting price is like $3,000 for the unit, right? Just the mill.
I think doesn't Harbor Freight sell that same one? I think.
Well, the Harbor Freight version, which is probably like Failures or something.
Maybe. I don't know. A lot of guys do mods to the Harbor Freight one too, but in fact, there's a good friend of mine out here that's got the Harbor Freight one from probably 4 years ago, and gosh, that thing is. I mean, it's not like the Bridgeport that I used. That was the first milling machine I ever used was a Bridgeport, and that was pretty close to a religious experience for me.
Oh wow.
That was incredible. You ever used one, like a Bridgeport?
No.
Oh my God. And so we got it, and it came with all this tooling. It came from 3M. So in Minneapolis, you got 3M is huge there, and there was a guy that worked. I remember the hackerspace that worked at 3M, and he has something in the prototype group, and they have all these tools. They just swap out every so often, and they have this area where they were just sitting there all wrapped up, and they were basically getting rid of them. And he asked about it, and asked if they would donate it to the shop, and they said, yeah, sure, because they were a 501(c), the hackerspace. So we got it, and a tool cabinet like one of these red ones here, full of just everything, and it was fun. It was fun. When you can cut, I just cut in aluminum parts like wood. It was just, and the accuracy too. That was what I love woodworking, but you just can't be very precise with it. Yeah. But so probably a lathe, a mill, and a 3D printer. A laser cutter would be nice. I'm still on this email list for that hackerspace, and I get lots of updates from them. And God, their laser cutter gets used probably more than any tool I think they have there.
Yeah.
Maybe short of a welder.
Well, it's too bad that the diode ones can't, like, I don't know. I mean, the biggest or the most wattage one I've ever seen was 15, and even then, the diode itself is like almost $400.
Yeah. I'd imagine there's probably a high failure rate on those as far as in manufacturing.
Yeah.
So I don't know for sure, and then like you said, they got to be cooled.
Yeah.
Self-destruct.
Yeah. You're almost gonna have to do liquid cooling at that point. Air cooling is not gonna help.
Yeah. No, I probably have to be. Huh. Yeah. I wonder. You don't see many really big ones on eBay. I've looked.
No, there's a company that sells. They were the one that got in trouble for making lightsabers with the lasers on it.
Is that Wicked Lasers? Yeah. They have a 5-watt one.
Yeah. So. Ooh. I don't know. I mean, I kind of want it for basically acrylic, specifically. Yeah. And then my wife would like to use it because she uses it for the balsa, but the problem is that in order to cut balsa, the feed rate has to be fairly low. Even at full power, it has to be fairly low.
Really? So I was wondering about that. Yeah. I do some model airplane stuff, so the thought of being able to laser cut balsa, thin balsa, was what would intrigue me about it.
Take like, what, 2 minutes? Something like that? The feed rate's ridiculous. YouTube, this guy took a 60-watt laser against a chalkboard. It's on YouTube. It is the most incredible thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Let me see if I can find a link for you. With a CO2, probably an epilogue, laser shock board. Yeah, found it. Okay, check this out. This is obviously a Oh, where's the? I'll stick it in here.
Oh, I never thought about chalkboard material be really good, or painting something with chalkboard paint, and then.
Yeah. That is crazy. Do you have the audio up for the video?
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Man. Look at how fast that's going.
Yep. That's a raster, so it's going line by line. So he doesn't put the feeds and speeds, but I'm kind of familiar with the epilogue, so that's probably like 30-40% laser power, probably a full maximum feed rate that this unit can do.
That is just unbelievable.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, wait till the end.
I mean, there's outright fire on that board as it's etching. It's hilarious.
Yep.
God, the fact that it can do it that fast blows my mind.
Yep.
What's the price on that epilogue?
Probably like 3-4K.
God.
I take it you haven't gotten to the end yet.
Whoa!
Oh,
What on earth?
Yep.
Holy criminy! So is that just filling in detail?
Yeah, it's really cutting lines.
Oh my lie! Holy criminy!
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoa! So do you think it's just the material that causes it to flame so much?
Yeah, it's the chalkboard. Yeah, it's
just absorbing everything.
Yeah, it's igniting.
That is. Wow.
Yeah, that guy has a bunch of. I think there's 2 other videos that he has, but yeah, that's basically a CO2, probably a 40 watt, not even at full power.
So I suppose he's even. So it's neat because you watch that and you see how certain sections are. Even the coloring changes.
Yeah,
and he's probably planned that.
Well, that and yeah, and
you know,
that's
he knows that. Yeah, that is absolutely super cool. Holy criminy!
And then glass etching, that'd be kind of neat. Metal etching.
What kind of power does the glass etching take?
What type of what?
What kind of power levels? I mean, 40 watt?
I'm thinking like a 40 watt.
Huh. That seems to be like probably the good starting point.
Yeah, 40. I mean, 60 will allow you to cut thicker materials, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen 50 watts, but a lot of people have told me that 50 watts are basically 60 watts that failed to a certain point, and then they just label them as a 50.
Oh,
I don't know.
That makes sense.
I don't know if that's true or not. But yeah, I think I'm gonna start. I'm personally gonna try to aim for 60 watts, but I mean, obviously, if that doesn't come through, then I'll definitely go 40. But I'm definitely going CO2. I think I'm done with the.
Yeah, I don't know that you have a choice. I mean, for what you want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, that's cool. Have you ever played with any of the DXF to G code, like the Python ones?
No, I normally take the DXF and slap into something like Aspire or something of the likes. I've never done it.
The open source one I was just looking at, it even supports Dragknife, and I'm gonna try to play with some of that and see how it works. I started looking at OpenSCAD too and decided that's freaking horrible.
Yeah, I need to make. I made a prototype of my Dragknife, but then I kind of stalled on it, and then I started working on this. I need to finish that.
We kind of sidetracked you on that one.
No, yeah.
It's all fun. I did get some cheap $5 e-stop buttons from Amazon today. Or today? Yeah, I think they came today. Yeah.
Inductive or standard?
Just standard.
Okay.
You know, twist to unlock. They're easy. I have to. That's the one thing. So you asked me the next steps on the CNC router. Next steps will be to get my limit switches on, and I don't have anything machined mounting hardware, right? Because mine are little metal cylinders, like a pencil. You know, they're kind of round like that.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know. I have to think about that, how I'm going to do them. I'm going to have to drill a small hole in the top of the carriage, but I'll have to give some thought to that too. Hot glue might be my friend short term, but
yeah,
just to test them.
But you're doing inductive or mechanical in the end stops?
No, they're inductive, and so I'm just going to put one in the middle of each axis, and then a
max.
One in the center, the sensor in the center, and then a piece of metal, something for it to sense on either extreme.
Okay.
That way I only need one pin. I guess I could do more, but I've got enough to do min and max on each axis if I so chose to do that, but it's a lot more wire.
So in theory, could I put all of my homing end stops on one pin?
Well, so you said something about that. You said you had all your maxes on one pin. Was that what you said you had?
Yeah, I did individuals for min and home, and I put all the maxes on one pin. It works.
Well, what's weird is when I go into step comp, I don't see a setting for your inputs that will let you say all of my maxes are on this pin. I don't see a setting for that.
Oh yeah, there is.
Okay, I'm in there right now, and I go to.
I'm so scared of launching. Seriously, not cool because I didn't know what was going on. I had no idea that it was so destructive.
That's one thing I hope they fix in Machine Kit, but right now I'm sure that's not even on their radar. It should be a lot more forgiving. Especially for somebody coming into it who doesn't know any better. That's exactly what the problem they're going to have, is it's going to drive them nuts. So I have...
Yeah, all limits.
Well, but see, that's min and max plus home. All limits is min and max, not just max. All limits would be min and max.
Oh. Well, when I go down that far, it stops.
That's interesting. That would be all limits, meaning min and max, which is, so that's exactly what I'll do on mine, will be all limits plus home.
Because that way I'll save a couple pins.
Yes. Yeah, because that way you're only using one pin per axis for limit,
So wait, how are you going to do your inductive end stops? Are you going to use some sort of logic shifter, or you're going to have to because of the voltage?
Yeah, I've somewhere I have the schematic of what I'm doing. But yeah, it's not terribly hard. Actually, I think it was the C10 breakout board manual talks about when you get your C10 board, they have a section in there on inductive sensors, and NPN or PNP inductive sensors. They kind of walk you through setting them up. I don't know whether you're going to be able to read it, but it's in the manual for the C10 board. They show you exactly how to do it. It's basically just a resistor to bring the power down so that it's something that your board can handle. And the resistor values they gave you are for 12 volts and for 24 volts, because those are the two most common voltage. Wow. For 24 volt, you're using a 25K resistor.
So I went overboard. So what I ended up doing, because I had double Y, right? So there's two sets of end stops on both sides of Y, right? And Y1 and Y2. So I have it set so to make sure that the gantry is square. If one end stop hits and the other one doesn't, it doesn't trip. It waits till the second end stop hits, and then it sends yes.
How the hell did you work out that logic?
So on the logic shifter, I have an and/or gate on the outside of that. And on the and/or gate, I have it wait for up, up. So if it says one side is good, one side is down, it's not closed. If it's open, open, then it's good, blah, blah, blah. So that way, when I'm homing it, I want to make sure that it's homing straight. Otherwise, if one gets there sooner, then it's like, okay, I'm good. And it doesn't work. So, I mean, in your case, your gantry is short, so it's not that big of a deal. Mine is like the size of Texas. So if one side is slightly off, it's a big deal on the other side.
Yeah, yours is what, 18 wide? 1800?
Yeah.
Yeah. God, yeah. Yours looks really large on camera when you have it up. It's like, holy crap, that looks huge.
But it's but hey, it's funny, when I first built it, everybody's like, oh, that's not going to work. You need to do the other way. It's going to have all types of deflection. I'm like, well, Haven't
You know
had
what
that-
though? But you're not cutting, 1/4-inch aluminum or 1/8 aluminum with it. Typically, you're cutting pretty reasonable stuff with it. So I think you're fine, and you've got it reinforced. So
Well, I've cut aluminum with it. I mean, well, no more. I think the thickest thing I ever cut was like 6 mil, and I was doing really small passes.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing full depth, full whatever.
yeah, and you can do that all day long. It's a sacrificing time for cutting speed, right?
Yeah.
And that's all. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's just you're not. Everybody's like, it's not gonna work because they're expecting high speed cutting out of it. Well, you're not. That's not what it's made for.
Yeah. No, this thing is 99% of the time wood and plastics. Yeah. More wood
So
than plastic.
You do a lot of signs and stuff?
It depends. If somebody asks, I'll do a sign, but it's majority like furniture and boxes. My wife made these. This is my first. This is the test cut I did today. It's not actually assembled, but where's the video? Oh, damn it. Okay, so we're in the laptop, so I'm gonna move this. Oh wait, how's that gonna work?
It's better. The lighting was good.
Let's see if I can. Oh, there we go.
Oh, nice.
And it has a little thing where there's a top, and on the top it has it's made out of cedar with a little thumbprint in it, and then she lasers the person's name or whatever. So the person can pick whatever artwork they want in the inside and stuff like that. It's not assembled yet, but this is the test part I cut out today just to make sure everything was good. Found out that my end mill is dull, but other than that, it's exactly perfect. The dimensions are balls on.
That's what I was going to ask you. So did you spend much time calibrating it?
I basically used the same values as Tiny G. The only place that did not work was the Z-axis because I have an Acme screw there. So the math required for that, whatever Tiny G does not apply to Linux CNC. Those values did not match at all.
You coming back, Aaron? Later? Okay. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm going through now is just double check. I'm just trying to get it roughed in, I guess, right now, the accuracy on the X and the Y.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it is accurate. Very well, just as accurate as it was before. I mean, it's belt driven, so
yeah,
I'm not expecting like ridiculous accuracy, but it measured 52 millimeters across as it was supposed to. I was happy. It was like 52.02 or something like that.
Wow.
That's good enough.
Good enough for what you're doing, yeah.
Yeah.
I wish there was a way to some sort of a gauge you could put on the belts to measure tension, so you could get them the same.
Yeah.
I just do it by tone.
Well, what I do is where the belt goes, and I think it's different on the x-carve. So the two idle pulleys, I basically press my finger on the left side, and then that depression I try to match on both sides.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no science involved there. It's like,
yeah. That's close enough.
I would love to switch these to Acme screws or ball screws, but god damn, that's expensive.
Yeah, and it's I would at that point I wouldn't use Maker Slide. I'd be looking at real extrusion. I think
like freaking 4080 or something like that.
Something like that, and with those hard rails, whatever from that you just put on the V slide and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, down the road, probably 2-3 years from now, I foresee that I will probably one or two things is going to happen. Either this machine will always stay like this, or I'm going to build something else specifically for metal. Specifically. Like,
you think you'd just build something from scratch, or buy a kit, or what?
No, I'll probably design it and build it from scratch.
That's always fun.
Well, I mean, because that way I know, because the Shapeoko is supposed to be the jack of all trades. Oh, yeah, it does aluminum, but, okay, whatever. It doesn't. It doesn't. But, I mean, it's funny because the farm is kind of like the rotary thing. I've been always after the rotary thing. I just love that whole concept of that and the type of things that you can make. And, I mean, I want to do chess pieces and all types of crazy stuff. I tried the crowbar, the rotary on this guy. It kind of worked. It kind of didn't work. The distances don't really work where it's mounted, and it was good. It was a good idea, but it was kind of wasted effort. So I think Farm is going to fix that. It's going to force me to fix it because this guy wants to market it, so I'm going to have to make sure it works.
And it's a fixed purpose machine, right? I mean, that's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's going to be that task.
Yeah.
Rotary goodness.
I think that's awesome that they agreed to fund it. That's.
Hey, first and foremost, I think. Okay, so I thought I posted in Open Builders because he kind of wanted me to post it there so people can look at it, and I thought a lot of people were going to hate on the fact that the z-axis is flipped. It's not the traditional vertical; it's sitting laying down. Now, the science behind that to me is that okay, I'm going to put a backing on the back of that, so that C-beam and the front part of where the rotary is going to be laying down, which means I'm going to guarantee that the gantry is going to be stiff and flat, right? Because I'm going to try to get 6mm aluminum cut to that size, right? There's a guy that sells like large sheets for, I think it's construction stuff, but I asked him if I can get custom sheets. I kind of gave him a rough dimension. He told me it was like $40 to $45, whatever. Assuming that sheet is flat, then that should kind of handle the rest of the machine. Ironically, I don't need the sides or the top for that matter because I'm torsioning it from the bottom. The only reason the sides are there because of the bar on the top with the LEDs, which is going to be the status stuff, the tool changes, stuff like that. I ended up resizing it because the guy, Mark from Open Builders, he wanted it to be able to be made by one of his existing CNCs, and the C-beam machine only does 10.5 inches square. Now, you see this guy, I mean, I could kind of cut it at any point, so I did 13.7 inches, which is bigger than his traditional machine. So I redid that for him. The fifth axis one, so you see how the z-axis is on a slider this way? Yeah. So I'm basically going to put a column left and right of that, and that column is going to go up and down, and then Z will go front and back, and X will still go left and right. And the rotary will still do its business. Now, what I found out modeling that is that it changes my center line because the gantry can't go as low as where it is now. So I have to change up where, specifically where C is, and I think I had to raise the A like 5 to 6 millimeters to make sure it's dead nut square, dead nut center with the rotary.
God, that's going to be cool.
Yeah. I mean, that's going to be like, and the fact that I'm going to totally do the Beagle Bone black thing, totally going to do machine kit on that. I'm going to absolutely do the 7-inch LCD touchscreen. I'm kind of leery because I think the max resolution is 800 by 600, so I don't know how much information I'm going to be able to fit on that. But a standalone machine like that with wireless to just upload G-code to, so I could sit in my office, do the cam on Fusion.
There's a Kickstarter project here.
Yeah, probably, but I personally am not a fan of Kickstarter because I've been burned by it 3 times.
Ouch.
So there's like 3 things that have been, it's like almost, one's 2 years, one is 3 years, I think the other one's 2 years. And it's like well overdue to the point where the guy doesn't even log in anymore. So I'm done with Kickstarter. But hey, I mean, I don't mind. I'm pretty confident it's going to work. Obviously, when I build it, I'm going to run into issues. I told the guy this. I'm going to probably run into some mechanical issues, but I'm going to sort that out. And then by the time I gold master it and I upload, because basically the deal is I have to completely open source the project, edge to edge, which I have absolutely no problem with that. Yeah. So I'm going to make 2 flavors, the 4-axis version and the 5th-axis version. And then I'm going to make a side flavor for me for the whole reason why I'm building the thing, which is different dimensions altogether. So I'm conforming to this 10.5 inches, but I'm doing a 10.5, once again, 4 axes, and then 5th axis, and then a side one that's 13 point whatever. The thing that's going to be fascinating for me is the machine kit and the HAL part, because I was able to test that earlier with this guy. I used a Arduino Nano, I put 2 NeoPixels on it, and I created a HAL event. So when the spindle goes on, I want you to send this command via this serial port, and then the NeoPixel turned green or red. So when the spindle turned hot, it turned red. When it went to off, it went back to green. and then when I hit the e-stop, it was supposed to flash red, but it went to red. So I haven't figured that part out. But to me, that tells me that I can get HAL to talk to a standard serial device.
Yep.
So that means I could do pulse blue on tool change, or if I pause it or feed hold or whatever, it's a visual alert of what the hell is going on. I think that's going to be really neat.
Especially it just looks really cool.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. He's been asking me a couple of times when am I gonna, give him the order of stuff, but I want to make absolutely positively sure that I know exactly how many nuts and bolts I'm gonna need on something like that. And that's one of the main things why I love like visual 3D CAD like that, because right now, because what you saw was kind of like a mock together. Now I'm going in and putting in every M3 screw, every M5 screw, exactly what lengths do I need, what type of clearances do I need. On the T-nuts, where can I place them? On the lights, how far up can I go? Where am I going to put the wiring for all of this? Am I going to have to make a channel?
Can you generate the BOM right from Fusion?
Yes, you can. Unfortunately, because this is the part that I was telling Andrew about, is that when you're building stuff like this, make sure you start naming stuff. When you import from McMaster Car, it's like D74622. And when it creates the BOM, it goes D73622 times 29. You have no idea what that is. So I have to go in and name everything. And then once I do that, it'll tell me an exact inventory of how many components.
That's so awesome.
And it'll do DXF blowouts too, where it'll take a component and then blow all the components. That's how I'm going to make the manual, literally. I'm going to just basically, and I think that's going to make my machine crap. Because just scrolling around it orbitally, it kind of chugs a little bit. Because it's a complex model. There's a lot of it. I think when I added the ball screws, it was not happy about that. Because it's actually...
oh, yeah, that's a hell of an operation. It's got to calculate for that.
Yeah. So I can probably just hide it and do that. But yeah, I'm absolutely excited about it. I can't wait to get started. I mean, obviously, when I do, you guys will know 100%.
I would also tell you, are you on the Machine Kit forums at all, the mail list?
I look at the forums. I think it's an old school Google forum.
It is, yeah. And the email, I mean, I just subscribed it so I don't have to go there all the time. And it's pretty, 2 or 3 emails a day. It's pretty low profile. Yeah. But the main guy who's in charge of Machine Kit is very active in it, and he's very responsive. But this would be something that I would post to him and just say, this is what I'm making this. It's going to run on Machine Kit on the BeagleBone Black. And they'd be like, holy shit, dude. And it would be good to, for them to learn your name with this, because you could run into issues that with Machine Kit that nobody else has yet. Who knows?
Yeah. I fully expect that.
Those guys would be very up on helping you, and they'll love this, especially if they know that it's open source. It's going to be up on Open Builders. They're going to love that. Those guys will.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I'm having, I'm slightly worried about is the axis naming, because I'm totally skipping Y. I'm doing X, Z, A, and C. So I know I can name them any way I want, but I just want to. That's my only concern. Otherwise, everything else should be good to go.
So are you going to use like a lathe chuck?
Yeah, 100 mil. Yep.
That's an old Craftsman that I've had forever. So, yeah, I'm good to go.
No, the actual lathe, the A-axis is it's a real part. Here, let me find the eBay. Actually, no, Amazon carries it too. It's 100 mil, 3 jaw. I think it has 3 nuts. 3, what do you call those? You can adjust each key individually. I know it's here. Oh. Yeah, there we go. 100 mil, where are you? I need to still find a decent tailstock for it too. For Somebody was telling me I won't need one, but I think I'm gonna put one there anyway.
It's a nice option. You might not need it for some things, but other things you might.
I mean, I'm definitely gonna have a holder for the C-axis. Right now, it's not there, but I definitely will. Here it is. It is this exact model. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So it's literally that exact unit. Oh, it's a 4-jaw. Okay, my bad. So 4-jaw. So it's equal. So when you tighten it, it equals all sides of it.
Oh, it is. Most 4-jaws aren't that way. That's interesting. Nice.
Yeah. So the only thing that's going to be tricky is that ratio, the belt, because that I don't know what size to what size. But I do like the fact that it comes with a NEMA 23 already on it. I don't like the fact that they're using Newton meters for torque, which I need to figure out what that is in ounce-inch. But that should be good enough. It's a 6-to-1 ratio, 3 degree. Oh, wow, step angle's 0.3?
Oh, wow, so that's really...
Ooh, I was thinking it was going to be 1.8. That's nice. But that also throws off the calculations, too. So, I mean, the whole idea, too, is once I figure this out for Machine Kit, I'm going to release... Because basically it's going to be Beagle Bone Black, obviously. The breakout board that you showed, because that seemed to be the best. That 4-axis board that I showed you last week. And that's pretty much it. And then the induction end stops. Spindle, it doesn't really matter. I pictured the DeWalt in there, but it could be really anything. And then basically configure the board with because the C-beams come with NEMA 23s already. I'm going to calibrate it as like that, and then make an image of that, and then release that. So there should be minimal tuning beyond that, I hope.
So there's these on eBay too. I don't know if you've seen those. I've actually looked at these, and that's kind of what I thought about building, but it's kind of like what you have in yours. I mean, it's...
Oh, yeah. Just smaller. Oh, that's cute.
Yeah. It is actually, yeah. It's like, oh.
Yeah, same concept. The only difference is the unit I'm having will attach directly to A.
Yeah.
That's the only difference.
Yep.
So,
and there's a lot of different varieties on this too, but yeah, it's cute. It's small, it's neat. But I think their prices, even from China, I think that seems a little high to me. But
yeah, I mean, I'm okay.
Plus $60 shipping.
Yeah, yeah, and even the rotary, it's kind of that $335. I mean, I could probably make that, but the point is that I'm trying to avoid custom parts. I'm trying to make it off the shelfish as possible.
Yep.
The part that, yeah, and the part that's crazy is that in that tire unit, there's only 4 custom parts. Everything else is available from Open Builders.
Now, would they carry stuff like this if there was enough demand for it?
It depends. The end plates he could probably carry. He could probably get a better deal on the rotaries if he gets enough of them, I guess, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, I'm going to have to get it out of my pocket, which I have no problems with.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, that's going to be awesome. I mean, the first thing I'm going to do, you know, this is one 5th axis video I keep seeing where, I mean, the machine's not cutting anything, but it just does this, like, mesmerizing, this ridiculous dance thing. And it's just like, that is absolutely the first thing I'm going to have it do. Although it's, you know, that's not the whole reason why I'm building it, but it is so freaking cool looking. Oh, it's 5th axis CNC.
I love watching those, like the hexapod stuff. Just the motion on those things is so mesmerizing to watch. Yeah. There can't be a lot of people in the world that have the ability to write the programs to generate, you know, the CAM programs to generate machine code or to generate G code for, you know, 5, 6, you know, 9 axis. There's just, that's so mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, that's why I was kind of excited when I found that Fusion had that ability. So it's like, okay, well, That's
Done.
good. Is it Dawson? D-A-L-T-S-O-N. Oh, where is that video?
It's super weird. I couldn't figure out why my CNC, the Z-axis, would go up, but it wouldn't go down. I was like, what in the frick is going on?
Oh, you probably have direction missing.
Well, no. So what was going on? So I got the scope out, and I was using pins. So Z-axis was pins 6 and 7.
Yeah.
And 6 was step, and 7 was direction. So I took the wire out of pin 7 and put it in pin 8 and set up pin 8 as direction, and it worked just fine. So
really, that's weird.
I'm gonna have to pull the board out and take a quick peek at it and see if it's. Yeah, I thought that was kind of weird. I mean, I got to try and fix this one. That's got the one I blew the chip on, but we'll see.
I'm not finding it. When I get back to my desktop, I'll find that link. It's some manufacturer. They're well known for high-speed machining. The machine's not really doing anything. It's just doing this ridiculously complex multi-axis jogging thing that's just like your jaw just hits the floor.
So you want to try to duplicate that?
Well, I mean, that's probably one of the first things I'm probably going to do.
It'll be a good self-advertisement video for it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
This C10 board, when you get it, has built-in pull-up or pull-down resistors that you can set up as you wish, with jumpers too, FYI, if you need them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I can't believe I got that crappy-ass board to work. That's the part that blows my mind away. It eventually started working with Linux CNC. Obviously, the USB part was toast. So.
And I'd even be willing to bet there's probably a way that could have worked.
Well, and the thing about it too is like the very, very, very first time I had it in Linux CNC, when when I had it inside, there was some sort of window where it shows you the inputs and outputs, and it had them green and red. All of them were green at one point, and that was the last time it did that.
So weird. And that was in the servo, in the PComp wizard, right?
Yeah. So I have no idea.
It would make you wonder why, yet another weirdness with this program. Why are the two programs different? Yeah. I mean, the UIs,
Yeah.
I suspect
one person wrote one and the other person wrote the other.
Yeah, maybe, and PConf probably came first, I bet, because a lot of people were using servos early on, I would imagine. I don't know, hard to say.
So, speaking of closed loop and open loop, so a while back, about 6 or 7 months ago, I made this like handheld digitizer thing. You've probably seen them. It has an armature on it. You move the armature and you tap a point in 3D space, and then you tap another point in 3D space. I was doing it mostly because I was trying to get the spacing for somebody would bring me a plaque or whatever, and then I have to line up the inside parts of it, and I was trying to do it with a caliper, and it just didn't work. So I still have that. It has encoders, actually, and I don't remember the step degree and the sensitivity or whatnot. In reading something completely different, apparently you can add encoders to Linux CNC, right?
Yeah, and the only time I've ever seen them used is on lathes.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a limit, but that is the only time I've ever seen them used on
for
the
thread milling. That makes sense, right?
Yeah. Yep. You want to close that loop, so you want to. They have encoders on. I know they have encoders on the motor speed, so your spindle speed, and then on X and Z, is it on a lathe? They had encoders on those that it supports too. I've never seen it done on a. I don't know how many it supports. I don't know. It's kind of a. There's not a lot of people using
encoders on a CNC at all. Would it? I mean, I guess if it misses a step, you would know.
Yeah, that's about it. I mean, you're not going to miss steps in the error, or if it, at least it did, you'd know about it. Then you have to set. What do you do if you miss a step? I don't know. On a lathe, that makes a lot of sense. It might too on something like, if you were going to CNC a Bridgeport or something like that, having encoders on something like that might be worth it.
Okay.
I mean, you take a look at the Bridgeports that I've used have had DROs on them, that go out to 7 decimal places, something ridiculous, and they have glass scales on them that are the encoders, and they're $700 for one that is the whole length of the table. They're super expensive.
Yeah.
And I'd imagine if I were doing something like a Bridgeport, I would certainly add that in there. I mean.
Huh. Well, I'm happy with the accuracy of this, which would probably make some machinists snort laugh, but it's good enough.
Oh yeah, whatever. We're not getting not getting 4 or 5 decimal places out of it. We don't need it for what we're doing. It's
exactly. I mean, at some point, I will never, as much as I love Tormachs and the concept of them, I don't foresee myself ever owning one unless somehow one finds up used at some ridiculously low price.
That you couldn't turn it down.
Yeah, and then the question is, how do I even get something like that delivered, right? But anyway, I don't foresee myself having anything like that at all. But I like the concepts of it. I like the fact that it machines metal. I like the probe and stuff. So I just want to adapt some of those functionalities and something that's more obtainable than something I already have.
Yeah, it'd be fun. It'd be fun to be able to. That's what's kind of drew me to the x-carve is when you see what it is, and then you see how people extend it way beyond what it was ever meant for, or what it was ever really designed for, and that's what's fun.
Yeah. Well, I like the probe part mostly for set height and tool offsets and stuff like that, but the 3D mapping thing, I'm definitely going to attempt that or try to.
So I've had an idea for a project too that I want to do. It's more of an art display project, but it would be, I want to take you get a piece of plexiglass and I want to carve a world map on it, on a piece of plexi, probably a good size. Doesn't need to be topographical, but some detail would be kind of cool. And maybe frost the backside of it. And then I want to put that in a table with an XY light on it or a laser of some sort. And I want to hitch that up to an Arduino or a Pi or something and connect that to the U.S. Geological Survey's earthquake data, which is all JSON interfaced. And I want to be able to have this thing go to a longitude, latitude, and then maybe just start pulsating, earthquake. And based on magnitude, it would be how big the pulse is.
So it'd be brightness.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. You guy could even do funny things with if you could somehow make it fluoresce, that back coating fluorescent, so you could hit it with a laser, and as you move to another one, the other ones would still sort of randomly glow lowly until it faded out completely.
Now, what's interesting is they do sell circular type neopixels, so in theory you could do a wave type.
Oh.
In fact, I bought a set of square ones for a project my wife wanted me to. It was not NeoPixels. It was like some other, I don't want to say Bobo brand, but NeoPixel round. I want to say it's like, they were completely solid. They weren't hooped. Here it is. This is probably too small for what you're saying. The XY coordinates, considering that, it doesn't have to be crazy accurate. You could probably do an XY setup because that would make it really thin. Core XY, sorry.
Yes. Yeah.
So that would make that whole operation really thin, and then put that little NeoPixel on there, and then you can get an Arduino Nano. Get 2 easy drivers, or if you can get some Polos or Polulus or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, that would work.
Or even better. I ran into one of these. I would never buy them, but for something like CNC.
What made me think about this was my friend works on the Midway, and when you go onto the Midway, like into the main command rooms or whatever, the big bridge area, they have these tables that are right in the center where they would put a map, and underneath that, when you lift it all up, there's all these gears and XY thing with a light on it that plotted their coordinates in real time. I'm like, this is just so cool. I mean, it was just, you lift the cover off and it was just beautiful inside of it. Like, oh my God, I want to make one of those.
Yeah, so that link I just sent you.
Oh yeah, that's just a simple little.
Yep, put an Arduino Uno underneath it with 2 Pululos and Pancake NEMA 17s. You know, the really thin NEMA 17s?
Yeah. God, you could get that really small.
And then Core XY, and then the LEDs. Now, the thing is, like, you're probably going to want to interface with a Raspberry Pi A with a wireless.
Oh, so the funny thing is there is a JSON library for Arduino.
Oh, but you still need the interface to it, though.
Well, that could be Ethernet.
Oh, okay.
Get a Pi. I don't know what the performance would be like. I have no idea, but it doesn't need to be fast, right? I mean, it just needs to go there like once every 10 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever, and look for latest earthquake data. And if there's an update, let's plot it. And if it's connected to if it's connected by Ethernet, it would just go out there and pull whatever interval I had it programmed for.
Okay, look up particle photon. It's a Arduino with a built-in wireless radio. It's $20. It has enough I/O to drive 2 stepper drivers, and then because you would need 3 pins per stepper, so that's 6 wires, and 1 pin for the LEDs. And then that's pretty much just, unless you want other accessories on there. And then it already has a Wi-Fi radio built into it. And then just have it pull and do your thing. Now, if you run out of space, you can get one of those I2C EEPROM. They hold like 128K, the little tiny things. So you could probably load data and cache it there and then execute.
Huh.
But yeah. Now the question is the mechanism. How do you make it thin and small enough so you can't really see it through the plexi?
Yeah. But that Core XY really gets thin, doesn't it? Wow, that's really neat.
Yeah. It's really, really thin. And even if you make it exposed where you can see it, I mean, it would be really cool.
Yeah, I don't think that would bother me of being able to see it. And so the thought of frosting it on the backside was just sort of I was like, oh, that's
even if
cool
you made
too.
it slightly opaque, not like clear, but just like spray, hairspray or something on the back of it to kind of, or media blast it lightly.
Yeah, and my thought would be to like put it in some sort of a coffee table kind of a thing.
How big?
I don't know. You know, it's kind of, I don't know. I guess I really haven't thought about dimensions yet. This has just sort of been brewing in my head for the last probably 3 weeks since I saw that thing on the Midway, and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Now the one on the Midway is probably 4 foot by 4 foot. And it just took standard USGS, maps or navigational maps or whatever. That's all that it just, you put those in there. But
it would be cool if you had an interface to change the target. So where's the IIS right now? And then it would go right where it is.
Oh my Lord, that would be so cool. So you could real time track the IIS across the sky. Yeah, that would be really cool. There's a lot. Oh my gosh, yeah. Come up with a little touchscreen interface, and so at that point, then you start talking about a Pi.
No, you can do that with your phone. So basically, all you're really doing is the way the particle works is it's cloud driven. So that's how my house number things are working. So basically, I'm polling it with SmartThings. SmartThings is the home automation thing. So SmartThings is handling all the grunt work, and then periodically I send, okay, I want you to play Knight Rider, which is this light pattern, and then this sound. So really, it's lifting a pin and then playing a visual thing. So in this case, you can make a web page somewhere. It could be on the live on the net somewhere, and then basically you just change the where it queries from, and then that would upload to the cloud, and then the cloud will populate to the Spark core. I mean, obviously the easiest way would be a Raspberry Pi A, which is the light duty Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
It only has one USB port, so plug that into wireless into the Raspberry. Yeah, plug the wireless into the only USB port available on the Raspberry Pi A Plus, and then use the serial in and out on the 40-pin header to either talk to a straight Arduino or something else. I don't know. I mean, there's so many other ways. It just depends.
There's tons of ways to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you only wanted to do the earthquake stuff, then that way it would be good. But if you want to change the target data, then you would need something like a Raspberry or something.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, that's different. That's the TLA 3-line element data from. There's a website where you download all the satellite element data. I don't know much about plotting that, but I have looked into the code at converting longitude, latitude to Cartesian coordinate, to an XY kind of a thing. That math is pretty simple. That wasn't too bad. The photon's pretty reasonable. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, $20.
And that's 19 bucks. So is that just it's Arduino compatible? So it's just I played with the Teensies a little bit. I like those a lot. If you need a lot of I/O.
Teensies have more power.
Yeah, that's huge power. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it depends. Like I said, if you're wanting to manipulate the target, then you could use a dumb Arduino. No offense to Arduino, but a low-powered one. And then the Raspberry Pi is going to be basically it's what's going to be coordinating where it goes. But if you want it completely automated in the sense that you just put that in and that's it, then you could use the photon, and then it would pull automatically, and then do the coordinates.
Could you think you could do the satellites, track satellites and everything with the photon as well? I mean, you think you could do everything with that?
One target at a time. Yeah, probably.
Yeah. But yeah, so you could set it for earthquake mode or satellite mode and track a satellite, or
you would need a GUI and then some sort of probably Ajax or something to handle. I mean, really, all you're doing is you're telling it instead of reading data here, you're reading data here. You would just need something outside to tell it to do that, which could be a web page. Because really, the way it works is there's a token and then the device number, which is this long hash. So all you're doing is you're telling it with those two pieces of information, hey, instead of pulling data from here, I want you to look from here. But then internally, you need to tell it if the data type is different, how to handle that.
Well, I may have to order me one of those. Yeah.
Well, I would prototype that with a straight-up Arduino and a crappy Gerbil shield, like that $9 one.
Yeah, exactly.
Prototype it out, and then the code from that, because I'm sure you have Arduino Unos all over the place. Or something.
I do.
So you can probably prototype it with that, and then you can scale that code up to the Python.
Actually, I have megas everywhere. That's just what I happen to have. I've got about 7 of them sitting here.
It's funny. I have more. Okay. So a while back on Kickstarter, there was this girl from LA Robotics. I don't remember her name. She made these things called Magnolias. They're basically little tiny Arduinos about the size of like a stick of gum. It's basically an Uno. I think I got into a 20-pack of those things. I've used them for all types of crazy stuff. That's what I was using for the speed controller for and the and the coolant pump, which I haven't touched that. I actually started working on that. The coolant pump controller, all types of crazy stuff. I have 4 or 5 Spark cores before they changed their name. One Duo, only because of the tiny G. And Duos are a little different. And 1 or 2 Megas. I don't think I really do anything that requires crazy amount of I/O. I think that's why I've never gravitated towards the... Oh, no, that's not true, because when I needed to do the 7-inch LCD, I needed to use a Mega, because it required a ridiculous amount of pins to get it to work.
Yeah, I like the Arduino.
Oh, yeah,
it's fun.
It's nice that I have this one chip that 1 second it's a tack for a spindle count or a temperature gauge. Same chip. Just depends what stuff you stick to it. It's so cool. It's like Legos, but cooler.
Have you ever looked at the Super PID?
Yeah.
For the routers?
Yeah.
Wish it wasn't quite so expensive.
And the thing that pisses me off about the Super PID, it's completely closed source. I mean, all they're really doing is they have a very, very large FET, and they're basically using an optical base encoder, and then they're basically, okay, I know I'm giving it this much voltage, and I'm expecting this RPM, and it just does a value check between the two. So when it sees a load, and if the RPMs go down, then it's smart enough to ramp the power up.
It's a PID loop, though, right?
Yeah, it is
a PID loop. Yeah.
So
but that stuff is all open source and available everywhere. It wouldn't be. In fact, I think there are some designs out there for doing similar things. What's interesting is the Makita. I don't know if yours does. This Makita's got PID built in.
Yeah, mine does too. It's funny and it has the soft start stuff.
Yeah. So it's amazing how quiet they are.
Yeah. Well, maybe the Makita, not the DeWalt.
The Makita's, it's really, it blows my mind. It's really quiet on at low speed. It's really quiet. It blows my mind. My Dremel, I will forget that thing. Holy crap, that was loud.
Okay, so take this for example. I'm going to power it up. All right, so be wary of your headphones. All right, so it's at full power. And where's my mouse? Let me launch. All right, so I'm turning it on now.
Holy shit!
That's full power, and then I'm going to dial it down. And this is the lowest setting, but listen to it carefully when it starts up, though. It does this.
Yeah, it's got to come up to speed.
But that's
loud.
It's very loud, but it has massive power.
So this is a horse and a quarter, and that's low speed.
Oh, wow.
That's slow. I mean, it goes up, but it's slow speed. It's
wow,
and that's
okay.
I think that's 10,000 RPM maybe. Yeah, it's blows my mind. So quiet. I'm anxious to see how much torque it has at slow speed.
So that's supposed to be equal to the DeWalt or better?
I think the DeWalt 611 is also a horse and a quarter. It might be a horse and a half. I can't remember, but there's not going to be a lot of difference between that. Yeah, it's very comparable. I think they're pretty close to the same size. But I don't know. I see a few people using it, but not a lot.
Wow.
Everybody just seemed to jump on the DeWalt. I think these DeWalts, yeah. I don't know where mine. They usually hang up there, but
I use them every time that thing is running. I kind of have to.
So, is your garage attached to the house?
No, it's separate.
Oh, okay.
But hey, when I can rip through freaking plywood like it's nobody's business, I could deal with the noise. I have a solution for the noise. It's right here. And it's so funny. Oh, good.
I was gonna say you don't use your garage for cars either.
No. Actually, what's ironic is there is a driveway, but the cars are actually on that side.
Yeah.
No, but it's funny because so I think okay, so there's a Shipoko Google Plus group. I don't know if you're in there.
No.
And somebody was complaining about somebody convinced him to get the DeWalt, and it was too loud. The wife was complaining, and blah blah blah. And he returned it. And how can anybody own that? And a lot of people said that, first off, yeah, it's loud, but it's the power. Oh well, my quiet spindle was just as powerful. I'm like, okay, sir, that's horseshit. That is absolute horseshit.
Yeah. That's somebody talking who doesn't know any better.
And like a week ago, somebody posted this. Like, I got tired of all the garbage, so I replaced my steppers and this and that. He must have invested probably like $300 to $400 into the Shapeoko, and he was driving a freaking. I can't even believe it. It's like I can't even wrap my mind around it. But a freaking Dremel as the spindle. He had these huge NEMA 23 steppers, huge external drivers, and then he's just dinking around a Dremel. That makes no sense.
No sense.
I don't get it.
I've seen Shapeokos with the 200 ounce inch, they're the NEMA 23s, but the really long ones.
Oh.
Like you have some too, right? I can't imagine having any more torque than I have. Yeah, I've seen Shapeokos with those on them. It's like, no. I have mine set right. I think my steppers, my drivers, they have a current limit resistor that you can vary depending upon what you want to set up. I think I've got mine set to 3.5 amps per phase. I don't need any. I've never had any problems with it missing steps. And if I needed anything more, I'd just get a 48-volt supply and mount it external and run them off that. But
yeah, when I first built this guy, I it's one of those things where I didn't really know, and I just knew that, okay, from my experience with 3D printers, that this is the way to go. And I knew that the G shield was limited because it's 2.8 amps total, and then you're doing the whole bridging thing with Y. All right, I'm going to go external. When you go external, the amperage kind of starts at like 3 amps, and you can go as high as 5. So I kind of I went in the middle of the road, 4.2, and they were not expensive. They were about $18 per driver. So when I lined up the the steppers, also not knowing any better and thinking, okay, well, the Shapeoko came with NEMA 17, so I'll definitely go NEMA 23s. So I went to Steppers Online or something like that, and they had 400 ounce inch steppers, and they were only like $20, $21 each. I figured, okay, I'll go this route. I can tell you, I've caused more damage to the thing I'm cutting than the machine itself.
Yeah.
Because there's been situations where like the piece moved and the DeWalt doesn't care, the CNC doesn't care. It'll just keep.
I'm just gonna keep moving.
I'm plowing through your support material. I had to take a chunk out of the left side of my hold downs. I don't have it anymore, but it took out like, oh, damn it! In this freaking lighting. It's these mounts. Yeah, it took out like a corner of it.
And probably didn't stop.
Didn't stop. So it's like, okay.
Wow.
So, lesson learned, if I ever build something else, I don't have to go that big.
Yeah. No. I can't imagine needing any more. I was a little, when I upgraded this, I got the 1000mm upgrade kit, and I was really, I really had to think before I cut the 1000mm for the width that I needed, because I was like, God, I've got a 1000mm. I could just make it a 1000mm square, but the problem is my table is not set up for that it's on. It's on this optical bench from Miles Garrett.
Yeah, you showed me a picture of that. I think it's sweet.
It's just crazy flat, and I love it. So, it'll be fine. It'd be nice to have something a little bigger, but this is way bigger than the Shapeoko, so.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, this back bench was kind of built for this. So. Yeah.
Is that a torsion box that it's on, or is it?
No. That's what I was telling Andrew. It was like, I should have done it. I thought about it. I'm like, I threw a level on it. It looked good. It It wasn't good.
Yeah.
So at some point, I'm gonna do maintenance where I'm gonna take everything apart and check to make sure nothing is rusted or fused shut. And I think when I do that, I will go ahead and put a torsion box. Only because what's interesting too is like when I'm not using the CNC, and the thing I like about Linux CNC, I have a button that basically auto parks it all the way to the back corner. Then I could still use this whole area as a workbench.
Oh, so you added a park button.
Not a park, but basically go to this coordinates, which is a park. Yeah. I called it park, but it just goes back to the corner.
Look at you! You just jump right in, don't you? I wished I could grasp shit that quick, especially when it's like the programming stuff. I'm a little slow on that, but I can figure it out if I have examples to look at and stuff. That's kind of how I always.
That's exactly because what I did is I took apart somebody's what was it? They had a button for rapid to 0. I think it was what the button was, and then basically it was just G code, really. Just,
Yep.
I mean, they made a HAL reference. You have to do a net dot whatever it is, and then you have to reference it, and you have to set a pin for it, which that took me a bit to figure out. But then I just cut and paste that, and then made park, and then made my button say park, and then really all it's doing is going to X776, and then no, I'm sorry, Y776, and then X1595 or something like that. It's just as long as it's homed, it will go to that spot.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'll just keep going, and when it hits the max, it just shuts off. But I mean, because I still use this as a workbench. I mean, if I'm not doing anything, so
you're not hammering. You're hopefully not hammering on it or anything.
No.
Yeah.
Just like assembly small stuff and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I need to seriously do something about I had this awesome wire management thing happening here, and now it's a big spaghetti monster.
Well, yeah, you've gone through a lot of iterations lately, though.
So I think I need to do something with the drivers or not.
Do you think you do?
Oh,
what you're asking?
No. Oh, it's weird. Hangouts just closed and then reopened.
Oh, weird.
No, not this video one, the normal one, the app. It just closed and then reopened. Yeah. Huh. Okay. No. I do need to do something with that because there's so much more crap here now. Yeah, because I mounted the monitor here. It's like right in front of the box. So when I'm standing up and I'm using the pendant, I can kind of see what's going on. But yeah, I need to. I mean, I have 2 PC cases, so I could probably cannibalize one and then do something with that.
Well, if you eventually switch everything to a Pi, that'll keep things. I'd just put everything in one of those metal enclosures, just because they got it at the Murphy surplus place, and it could be a little bigger. But if I ever had to add another axis, for like for rotation or something like that, I'd have to go bigger because I don't even have room in there right now for a 4th driver. So I don't know what I'd do about that.
But in actuality, I mean, and this is kind of the route I did initially. You could technically disable Y to get your A, because you're not going to move Y when you're using the rotation.
You're right. Yeah, you're right.
But on the sheer laziness factor of me not having to move a jack or hit a button, I went ahead and wired it where A was actually A.
That makes sense, though.
But the thing that I didn't like and I didn't realize at the time is that you have to keep Y energized while that's going on.
Yeah, because it has to stay in place, right?
It's position, yeah.
So do you have on your drivers, you've got your per phase current limit, but do you have a hold current limit too?
No, I don't think so.
So these have both. So I can set how much current do I want you to apply in holding. So, if I need a lot of hold current, I can up that. I think I've got it set to the same 4.5 amps of hold current. Actually, no, I think the hold current is less. But if I really want it to hold strong, I can up that, change that resistor value, and
5 amps per phase or whatever, and that thing will. Problem is the hold amp is where the motors get hot. If they're just sitting there holding position and at 5 amps per phase or 4 amps per phase, they get warm.
Yeah. And it's weird because like the NEMA 23s don't get warm, but the NEMA 17 it gets pretty crispy.
They're pretty forgiving.
Yeah. But I noticed that because I rested my arm on it once. I was like, holy crap. And I looked, it's set to like 2 amps. It's not even anything crazy. But just holding, it's like, it's pretty hot.
I blew up a snapper motor one time, I think at around 90 volts.
Oh, wow. Holy crap.
Yeah. You get a bunch of techie people together at a hackerspace with more equipment than you've ever had in your life, and weird things happen.
Yeah.
And plus alcohol.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go to bed.
Yeah, it's midnight here.
You don't work weekends, right? Ever? Usually?
It depends if something happens.
Oh, do you on call then, kind of?
Well, I am the tier 2 go-to guy, so if I get a phone call, it's usually pretty bad. So usually I don't. I mean, last weekend I did, but I kind of did a little bit of overtime on Tuesday. I was up till that was when you messaged me and asked me, "You're still up?"
Oh yeah.
That was why I was up, because I was working on a ticket.
Yeah, I didn't expect you to be up.
Yeah. Nor did I.
Well, it's nice working from home, though.
Yeah, and that's what I was telling Andrew, because it's like I've been in the hustle and bustle while I've worked in an office, and the problem is that what I do, I'm easily accessible in the office.
Yeah.
And right now, they have to truly think about what they need is really what they need, and plus we're 100% ticket based. No ticket, no service. So they have to generate a ticket, and then one of us picks it up. And
you guys use Remedy or something like that, or what do you guys use for ticketing?
No, we use CRM Dynamics. It's garbage.
My wife works for BMC Software. They're Remedy. Yeah.
Nope, they picked CRM Dynamics. It's funny. It's what we use internally and what we use for our customers. So. Huh. It's not very good. It's a Microsoft product, so it has SharePoint integration, Exchange integration, and it has link integration too. And then, what's that stupid phone book software? So if a customer calls in, it automatically checks the tech support's contact list. It pulls up in link, then it automatically adds that call into CRM, and then when they notate the call, it shows time, date, who they spoke to, and blah blah blah. It tracks all of this stuff. So, yeah, it's
SharePoint. I remember having to play with Lotus Notes years and years ago, doing installs of that crap. And SharePoint just seems like a glorified Lotus Notes to me. I don't know enough about it, but
SharePoint is okay. This is going to be a bias because for the end user, I'm sure SharePoint is awesome. But from the technical side of it, of maintaining it, it is absolutely garbage.
So it's just like Lotus Notes was then. That's the way the Lotus Notes was.
It's IIS or ISS driven heavily. And then it uses SQL Server, and you have to do this dual clustering crap.
Oh, yeah. Clustered servers.
We have this problem where, like, the database, it's like these two servers are in the rack side by fucking side, right? They have something called InfiniBand connected to them. So they have 10 gigabit link between the two. And yet, sometimes they get out of sync with each other. And when they do, all hell breaks loose. And this happens a lot. And it's baffling because it's not on crappy hardware. I mean, I don't.
I feel you. I laugh because I worked for the Minnesota Supreme Courts. I contracted for them for 2 years, working on Minnesota was working on a project where they were linking all of the courthouses, all of the county courthouses into a master database for defendant information. So I was working on this project, and they were a huge Microsoft shop, and all HP servers, rack mount. They were storage array network,
and InfiniBand, the stuff that was clustered. It was crazy. You had separate NICs in there just for the storage array network stuff.
Yeah,
you had separate NIC. Yeah. It was crazy. Yep, and the database stuff, the Microsoft SQL Server stuff. If you didn't get that clustering server right, there was some timing signal. I seem to remember that if that thing got out of sync, shit was just. It was. I remember nightmares with that.
Yep, because basically we have two DL 760s. These are like two 8-way CPUs. They both have 64 gigs of RAM. They have two quad. The motherboard already has 4 NICs, and it has 2 additional quad port NICs. So they share storage. So each one has 4 ways to each SAN. Plus, between the 2 servers, there's 2 it's called heartbeats.
Heartbeats, yeah.
So that's how it's synchronized timing. So
yeah.
And then we use NetApp for the storage, and it's all iSCSI. We have SSD. They call fast array. So basically, it writes to the SSD, and then over time, it flushes the SSD cache to the standard spin stuff.
Yep.
I mean, this thing has more I/O than our freaking ESX environment, right? And this thing fails all the time. And we open tickets, and they have their tier 2 engineer guy, tier 3 engineer. Oh, this shouldn't happen. It's like, can we use something else, please? Because this is bullshit. And it's like I have to explain why. Oh well, we had 4 hours of outage last month, and it affected this business. And it's funny, they refer to everything inside our own facility of business, right? Because we have the not purchasing, but basically the guys that do the quotes, and then you have the guys that do the software end of it. But whatever. So
do you guys bill back?
Do we what?
Does your department bill back? Do you charge for your services?
We have allotted. Okay, it's funny. So we have allotted budgets. They're fake, but it's allotted budget.
Yeah.
And basically, we kind of make, in the beginning of the year, we kind of tell them, okay, so this is what happened year to date. This is the issues that we foresee to happen. This is the type of stuff that we would like to do to be proactive on these type of issues, which they promptly ignore. And then 6 months, 7 months later, said thing that we predicted 6 to 7 months earlier happens. And well, the budget that we allotted for systems has been held up for something like this. I'm like, okay, well, I guess nobody gets paychecks.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, that's where the SAN that you're saying that we don't need happens to hold the entire Intuit Peachtree database. And oh well, I guess nobody gets paychecks. And then what was that? What was that you needed? And then when they'll complain and say, oh well, maybe you should have been more affirmative about that. Like, how shit's gonna break? How else do you want us to tell you that?
Yeah. They want assurances. That's what it comes down to.
We do in inter office. I think we call it metering or billing. I don't know. I'm just a cog on the wheel, man. I'm just that guy that somebody calls me at 2 a.m. and tells me that, I think the PBX is offline, and it's like, okay, I'll look at it. I really don't know anything about anything else. I just know that. I like to keep
How long you been doing this?
This particular job, 6 years. In the industry as a whole, probably like 15, 16. I worked for many ISPs before this.
Oh, yeah.
MCI and eSpire in Florida.
I worked for Novell.
Is this still broadcasting recording?
Yeah, actually we are. Let's stop that.